We're gonna hope for overcast. That's what we're gonna. I'll take that. A little showers are okay as long as it's not
You're
that
fine.
pouring.
Thank you.
Okay, good morning. Welcome to the August 3rd meeting of the Board of County Commissioners. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, do we have any public comment? I'm seeing none. I will go on to commissioner comments. Commissioner McKinley.
Okay, Monday after our meeting, I met with Shiloh. Had some questions on the budget and also some financials in general. And after that, I also said some same stuff with Rich. Tuesday, I spent a lot of time going over the staff info we've been given about 410s. And then Wednesday, my wife and I celebrated our 48th wedding anniversary. And yes, John, she does deserve sympathy cards.
Wasn't going there, but okay.
I expected to hear that.
Congratulations.
That,
Tomorrow, we can take a cruise.
we're already talking about that.
Okay, Commissioner Ford.
I don't know how to top that one. For me, it's been kind of a slower week, actually. Also been just trying to get caught up at work, which that's a mountain. It's a huge mountain. That's all I can say. Yesterday, while I was at work, I also listened in on the KAC's webinar on the county reimbursement for state hospital wait times. It's in coalition with Senate Bill 228. It was passed, kind of breaking down KDAD's reimbursement to the county for the cost of holding somebody in custody while they're waiting examinations, evaluations, and treatment. There's a lot to it. This would be, of course, before standing trial or if they need to be moved to state hospital, everything that goes into that. So this bill also directs KDADs to make reimbursements to care providers, as well as law enforcement and other county entities for those unpaid costs, as well as having to have somebody with them and or transportation moving around too. Deputy Secretary Scott Bruner laid out the process with his reimbursements, walked everybody through the documentation and billing requirements that go along with it, and answered some questions that were part of the call. I know, were you on?
No,
Okay.
couldn't get to it.
I had a small screen. I wasn't on this when I was at work yesterday, so I didn't know if there was anybody else on here on there, but it didn't appear. So I didn't get to stick around for all the questions. I had some other stuff to do. So I'm sure there was some good ones asked. And I think they'll put that up on the website somewhere at a later time. So if you want to go back through and review that, it's possible. So K-State starting football camp this week, which is a pretty good sign of fall for me. So I think we're down to 30 days exact.
Yeah.
First game and fall. It's usually the first kind of sign of fall for me. So I think this weekend there may be a couple of preseason games for NFL.
Oh, really?
Either this weekend or next. So that's coming.
That seems a little early.
We play the Hall of Fame game in correlation with new Hall of Fame inductees in Canton. So it might be next weekend, but football, that's the key, football and fall. We got some rain yesterday, and we were just talking about that. Looks like some cooler temperatures are going to arrive and make it stay. I'm hoping we've seen the worst of that. I'm hoping. And lastly, I wanted to talk about goats again. Goats. We're having that discussion on Monday. We'll appear Shawnee County, turn some loose in a park they just bought to try to clean it up before they do what they're going to do. So I just wanted to prove that goats work. They do good things.
They like to escape too.
Well,
on cars.
Yeah.
And tear up things.
Yeah. But details. In the end, goats. It's a good thing. That's all I got.
Notes
My
for the
daughter
answer.
has 3 little goats and they're constantly escaping and running around. No, I'll throw at the damage, but they're cute. I mean,
They prepare you for kids. Because that same thing can happen there. Of course, they probably don't eat as much grass and
I don't
vegetation,
think,
but
no, that's.
if they do, you probably got bigger problems than goats at that point.
What? Yes. Okay. Okay, Tuesday afternoon, I attended the Raleigh County LEPC meeting held here in our chambers. Last meeting was in January. There are many events that have happened since then, including the Womeagle 4th celebration, the Topeka Stampede, the PT County Active Violence Drill, and the Raleigh County Fair. Some of the trainings that are going on will be the CERT training, which is Community Emergency Response Team Training. I'm not great with acronyms, but USD 383 Active Violence Tabletop Exercises. And the Airport Full Scale Exercise and the IPPW Workshop. And reports are made by attendees present on past and present events and trainings. Their next meeting is going to be October 3rd. On a Wednesday, I attended the military relations luncheon at the campus Hilton. 2 new colonels at Fort Riley did short introductions of themselves. There's Commanders Colonel Chad Corrigan of the Aviation Brigade and Colonel Jeffrey Pickler of Division of Artillery. And so they both gave little introductions. One had come directly from Germany and the other one had, I don't forget where he came from, but and then his wife is sitting next to him, so I talked to them before that. Other announcements were made by Vern Turner of the Flint Hills Veterans Coalition, and they're having a raffle of an art piece that's made of forged and fabricated steel that will support the broadcast of the Flint Hills Veterans Day Parade. I have a flyer on it if you want to take a look at it. It was there. It's made of steel and etched and, and wood, all sorts of stuff. So I guess they're looking for donations on that. So Wednesday afternoon, my computer person met me at my home office to help get my computer going after an attempted hack yesterday morning. It doesn't appear that it affected my iPad and my phone, but it was crazy. And Microsoft call Microsoft. You have security issues. So like a dummy, I called them, but then when they wouldn't tell me their name or their ID or anything, I hung up on them. Shut the computer down. Of course, it says, don't shut your computer down. Yeah, okay, shut it down. So I did have a computer most today. Anyway, I also spoke to several people during the week concerning the 410 proposal before us today. The Wesley business meeting that I normally attend on the first Wednesday was canceled this month and we'll meet again in September. So that's all I have.
Ready for business, commissioners? First item I have is tax roll corrections.
That's a long list.
Yeah, we were going to have you sign each individual one like we normally do,
Yeah.
but we decided to just give you one signature page. So.
Now, where are
I call foul on that one. I've had to do that in the past.
So happens when you're nice to me, John.
Yeah, can't argue with that.
It's all due to the tax sale, so it was all due to one event, Riley County.
Oh, that was
Tax
okay.
sales, what
I
it was
didn't
for.
see a total amount on it. So.
Yeah, it's
So in other words, you're blaming, gotcha.
Riley County tax sale properties.
Nice try.
Okay, well, it's a good thing that we do to, it's been a lot of work through the years too. So I'm going to make a motion then to approve all of the tax roll corrections.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve all of the tax roll corrections. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
One signature, please.
Yeah, it's a good thing I don't have to sign.
Each line would have been a separate page.
It's 41 pages with.
Yeah.
Something on each one.
Yeah. Yeah,
Oh, there is a total.
that would not have been fun.
Not very much money for a lot of pages.
Hopefully it gets them back on the tax roll and it
Yeah.
starts getting the taxes back on. Is the goal, intended purpose of it. Next, Commissioner of Raleigh County Employee Action Forms, Jarius Kelly, full-time AEMT in the ambulance department. Adrian Kegel, full-time EMT in the EMS ambulance department. John Candido, full-time EMT EMS ambulance department. Chris Albanese, full-time EMT EMS ambulance department. Josh Swanky, full-time paramedic in EMS ambulance department, and Tristan Gooden Height, volunteer fighter stipend. All of you need to sign, please.
It's status change, explain. Doesn't really say anything on the sheets here.
Good morning. Dr. Gary County EMS ambulance. So these are promotions of peer earners in preparation for launching Station 5 operations.
And that's why that status change date's September.
Yeah. So the thought is it gives us ample opportunity to kind of get most of them. In fact, all of them are PRN currently. So it gives us time to kind of acclimate them to full-time 24-hour shift rotations. Get them kind of built into our operations and start the rotation before we get the keys and occupy them.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Any other questions?
No, thank you.
Thanks, Josh.
We're excited to have.
Yeah. Let's do it. Get ahead on that. Yeah. Thank you.
If there's any changes to the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as written from the whatever date that was, Riley County Commission.
Second.
So the first.
Over 31st. It's moved and seconded to approve the minutes dated July 31st, 2023. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any changes to the tentative agendas, commissioners?
Thank
Next, and then any items for next week's press conference? Do you have it? Go ahead.
I don't have it.
Okay, county officials luncheon, department heads met, yesterday, wanted to ask if the commissioners wanted to have one next time, and if so, what topic would you like? The department heads didn't have topics.
Oh, okay.
I think we should meet because we haven't met from quarter, so. I just want to have reports from them and, have good open discussion on things that are concerning them.
Which date?
The 14th, that when it is.
Be next Monday.
Sticks in my mind, it was that day.
It's,
Yep,
What was it?
14th.
So do we want to have some pizza or something?
I'm thinking I may not be able to do that. I've got another meeting myself. I'm gonna have to look on that.
Oh, okay. You want to have some pizza or something brought in?
So we want to have it even if one commissioner can't be there, the commissioners are okay with that, we can do that,
Yeah.
just want to be sure.
It'll be recorded, right?
Talk about it.
Mhm.
We can talk about
We
it.
talked about it.
And give him assignments, committees.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You'll take a ticket and stand in line like everybody else.
but it should be recorded, so you can.
Verify what we stuck you with.
Yeah.
This-
Friends like this, who needs friends?
Okay, we'll get that. Also want to remind the board, I think we received an email, but to start planning for the 48th annual Kansas Association of Counties Conference. Let Cindy Gabriel know if you want registered for the conference and what nights you want hotel rooms for. And I'll get that arranged for you. Okay,
I'm a little late this year, I think.
I really like it. It helps my calendar a lot. It's after the election.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, that's for sure.
After Thanksgiving.
Yeah. Next, commissioners, you have Russell Stuckey at 9 o'clock.
I think, talk about weather, it's Saturday, needs to be cool, no. That family reading.
Thank you all. Have a good rest of your day.
You too, Josh.
Close to 50 people.
My daughter's
Really?
couple's baby shower with about 50 people as well.
Did you know that the people at that house fire was,
Yeah.
I heard about that.
Yeah.
that sounded really tragic. Any ideas on what caused it, Jack?
So it's thought it started on the 4th, it should have been, something's left out there.
Somebody was smoking or maybe. That was kind of.
We all said, there was something, I don't know.
That's tragic.
City website, Mills West, usually she's doing the self check that she's done.
Oh, really? Yeah. I see her out there, she's really good. I forgot some stuff one day. What was it? Oh, I saved it for you.
Hours. And she had the 4 this Airbnb, all that stuff. She used to rent rooms, because she's living by herself. She used to have rooms and that.
But she lost.
Grandson is one that, he said, the grandson, so he's not, he's the grandson. But one, he jumped out, he jumped out of the second floor and built a bunch of problems.
Oh, goodness.
Last word, he's still in the hospital. Because yeah, when reading some of the ones, oh, no, but she's like with me, so her grandsons and dogs, but they're the wife.
Well, I think I'd jump out too.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
You know, but
And that's what like, Jill mentioned this morning. She told us, did you hear anything that night? Because we go further across the street from the fire station. Neither one of us heard anything. Didn't hear a thing.
You guys were sleeping good that night.
Yeah, that's been sleeping.
Yeah.
It's like say that morning. Saying, did you hear the fire truck? Like, there was fire. And the address so that should that be so and so? I said, no, in 3 goes from campus. That might be Sue Burns. And that was. And then she said, she saw a picture. Oh, yeah, that's it.
it was like a feather.
Yeah.
It's too bad. She had insurance.
Yeah, that's what the fire department. So when my son had his incident in Tennessee, he surprised me, he was like across the street, don't have insurance. So that can happen.
It's too expensive.
Just a snippet, I didn't get to hear a lot of it, but the early weather forecast for the winter is harsh.
That's what I
I
saw
have to
too.
just see the farmer's almanac, I put more trust in it, and maybe that's where it was from, I just didn't hear, but you're talking about a harsh winter.
But NOAA comes out with that. It's because the El Nino is strong this year.
Yeah, it's 1%. You know, it's kind of cool. 100-degree stuff, you know, and kind of cooling down for a while. Except another week and a half, there's another one. Probably back up to hundreds.
Oh, really? Had not heard that. I didn't need to hear that.
That puts right at the beginning of September.
Right at the start of school.
That's what
Be the first football game.
it usually is.
Yeah.
5-6 years ago, we were out there tailgating and it was 100 degrees, so it was like 120 on the pavement. And I'd stay for the entire game. It's just not comfortable.
Yeah, one, we had this, we had the games with Iowa State at Arrowhead a couple times, 20 years ago or something. There was one of it was the first game of the year, and it was so hot.
Oh, really?
It was cooked.
I think we played Iowa.
Or yeah, not Iowa State, I played Iowa.
Yeah.
It was preseason.
Yeah,
Preseason.
Well, those programs are in a little trouble.
you think?
I'm guessing they're just giving them the talk.
Yeah, no doubt. But it does sound like, players from teams in the same state, they talk and stuff. So it's no doubt, those kids were talking with each other. And yeah, what a novel idea. Have your mom do it. They'll never catch that.
I saw somebody on Twitter or X or whatever the hell it is now. He was saying bet the under on all they bet the under on all those games. He says that was easy money. They have horrible offenses, That was just kind of a stab at both of them. I thought it was pretty funny.
Well, this expansion stuff's gonna get interesting.
I'm here in Arizona and Arizona State now.
Utah.
In Utah.
Florida State, Clemson are about to blow up the ACC.
They're going to end up with like 2 super conferences.
Well, that's what I think Herb Street predicted last year. He said eventually it's gonna be like the NFL. You're gonna have two divisions.
Yeah.
He said. Which I don't necessarily think is a bad deal. I mean,
No, pretty
just
much
do it and get it over with instead of having all this jockeying around.
Well, I think, you know, you talked about the two, the Big Ten and SEC are the big ones. At some point, those, you know, 'cause each of them, especially the Big Ten, has like 4 or 5 out of the. I mean, about 14 that are really, the others are just tagging along, doing the money. And are people really gonna watch all those, you know, people watch their local teams. Yeah, I don't think they're gonna get TV people a few years ago realize. Whole nation and turn in to watch Michigan play like there's kickers.
It's amazing with some of those two bigger conferences, how much they get annually per team compared to what we're getting.
Yeah,
Holy moly. No wonder those are jumping ship to go to those.
Those top, because that money's coming into the top. You know, Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State. The rest are tagging along, and sometimes those top ones are gonna figure out. We can get double that, we can dump all into there.
And see, that's kind of what Texas and OU's philosophy that had always been, you know, we're holding the rest of you up, you know, you guys are holding us down, and so.
yeah, I guess it's Alabama and LSU that'll be holding them up.
It'll be interesting.
Thank you. Extinguisher.
Driver end up with that.
I think so.
Truck was not that good.
No. And as Elton John, now just knows it's taking a while to replace it probably.
Yeah.
I've heard those trucks drive really fast out there. That's what a citizen out there was telling me, that he's called the police department many times to get them to slow down. I guess they just barrel through there, and when they get on those curves.
Mhm.
Not getting old, because people go too fast, but they just go too fast. Older.
Drives like going to a fire.
It's crazy. Sometimes they are.
Sounds like maybe even in progress right now. Just with sirens out there.
Was a police car, we were something.
I didn't see those numbers.
Morning, Commissioners. Russell Stuckey with County Fire and Emergency Management. My monthly staff time report for July. One thing on the 911 fund, we've tentatively been approached by a cell phone company, maybe wanting to rent space on one of our towers, so that's a good thing. So working with KCOM directed them our way, and so kind of working with KCOM a little bit. Hopefully I'll have some preliminary stuff to bring to you in another month or two to maybe generate a little bit of income there. So that'll be a good thing. We participated in the 3 active violence tabletop exercises associated with the Manhattan Ogden schools active violence drills, and those went really well. And then we also participated in the after action tabletop, going over, what went well and what could be improved on. And so that was a good collaborative effort between emergency management, the city, and the school, and RCPD. And so we had KDM, our Northeast coordinator from KDM, helped facilitate the tabletops, and went real well, I think. So should be a lot of good things come from that, from plan improvements and coordination. The other main thing, of course, we had a few different severe weather events. Nothing too major, just stuff that we monitored, and gave Gary a call Friday night. There was a storm coming on to the fairgrounds, and he said, "Yep, we're in the big show. Thanks for the call." So I've talked to them since, and we may do a little bit more of a formal thing than what's been done in the past as part of their planning for the next fairs. Have a list, potentially make even a group of people at the fairgrounds, their area supervisors or whatever, where we can send them one call with every bridge group and say, "Hey, watch out." Yeah. So then we have our intern started with us, Kyle Lewis. He's a military man getting ready to transition out of the military. I think he's done in December. And so part of their program that we've participated in before, he's still on the military payroll, so he's not costing us anything, but I think he's here 3 days a week. On the fire side, or then we also did a tour, we got a tour of Bath, and so that was good. That actually resulted from our participation in the active violence tabletop, which in Bath had some security people there. And so I made contact with them. Their emergency manager actually is on his 3rd week now. I think when we went on the tour, it was his 2nd week on the job. And I think it's their 2nd or 3rd one they've had so far already. So we hadn't made contact with them yet much. And it sounds like he's very interested in building those relationships and participating in foresee some drills and exercises specifically focused on Bath and how responses there may look in the future. So that's promising. Obviously, we continue to accept and process applications for volunteer firefighters. I've been here and said it before, but I'll say it again and maybe even emphasize more. Some of our stations, typically the ones closer to Manhattan, we are having pretty good success in getting those rosters to a relatively decent level of people, 14, 15, I think 112, maybe a little higher than that now, the one by the dam, to where we've started talking about we aren't quite there yet, but we may actually need to start instituting a little bit of a waiting list for them, because we have several young ones in training, and not to overwhelm the season was there of having too many to train at one time. And so that's a good thing, but we're still extremely desperate, quite frankly, at a lot of the farther out stations. In Riley, where we just have the structure fire, obviously, is one example. You know, I think there's actually 6 or 7 actually on the roster, but there's really only about 3 that really participate. And like for the structure fire the other night, the city of Riley Department, I was talking to Robert, their chief, and he said he has 8 on his roster, but there were only 3 people there that night. So for the city's department, so you know, we're not alone in that, but you know, we have stations that only have 2 or 3 people on them, period. And so it's just ultra critical that we try to figure out. And when we have a recruitment and retention committee, we sent some of our active people to the National Volunteer Fire Conference 2 times now to get ideas, and the committee's working on ideas for recruitment and retention, but we are very, very low on a lot of the stations. So just want to reiterate that and reemphasize that. Some good news is the preliminary dirt work is done for the Ashland Station 102. So we will be reviewing the bid package that we put out previously for that station, and hopefully be coming to you here in the next couple of weeks to rebid that with the dirt work being done, and some modifications of that big bid package so that some of the smaller independent contractors hopefully will be interested that weren't previously. So. And so on that, we're just waiting on the property swap agreement between University Park and the county. Once we have that done, then we'll go ahead and get the dirt work done at University Park. But obviously, we can't move forward on doing any dirt work until we get
Are they still work on the details of the contract? Or?
Yeah, I need to talk to Clancy. I've talked to him for a couple of weeks now about it, but
He's trying to work with their board to get it.
Pardon?
He's trying to work with their board
yeah.
to get an agreement.
Mhm.
I think everybody knows we want to do it, but it's just getting it right.
Correct. So as soon as that's done, we'll start on the dirt work up there. I don't anticipate probably trying to do that station actually until next calendar year, but there's no reason we can't go ahead and get the dirt work done and give it even a little more time to settle it. As I passed out to you, that's the extinguisher. Michelle Bushmeyer, our administrative assistant, she's taken that on the basically the newsletter to go out to the department and highlight what's been done. And, obviously, as you know, it's a big department from one end of the county to the other. A lot of our people on the north end of the county don't even know some of the people on the south end of the county, and attempt to try and keep everybody up to date on what's going on within the department throughout the county and all 15 of our stations. So Michelle does a good job on that, and I just wanted to share that with you. So if you see it and if you would like, I can have her put you on the email list for that to get that.
Yeah,
If you guys
yeah.
like.
Yeah,
Okay.
do that.
Think. Another small highlight is Deputy Chief Doug Russell. He got his drone pilot's license, and so now he's a officially licensed drone pilot to fly the drone that we got through a grant. And so we anticipate that being a great asset, especially on those larger grass fires. It could potentially even be used on a house fire to fly up above it and see what there is to see looking down into a bad house fire. But we really anticipate that saving us time and miles, whereas previously we especially on some of the big grass fires and there's no road access, we may have to drive 5 or 6 miles all the way around to get to the other side of the ravine. And this way, in theory, we can put the drone up, fly over there. Oh, that's what that looks like. Yeah, there is fire there. No, there's not. Fly it back and accomplish in 10 or 15 minutes what might take us half an hour. Yeah. And miles of driving to do. So excited about that. And we have a volunteer that's a active, very avid drone person, and he's going to get his actual pilot's license and kind of head up our drone team and try and get at least 4, 5, or 6 people that can actually do it, so it's not just 1 or 2 people. So we're excited about that. Then we were awarded a grant from the Kansas Forest Service, a matching grant. So we pay $2,500, they pay $2,500 to buy wildland firefighting equipment, whether that's hand tools, gear, and et cetera. So, and of course, last night, or not last night, 2 nights ago, as you heard, we had a structure fire in Riley, and so we had, I think we had a total of 25 firefighters there. 3 of those were in the city of Riley, and the rest were from the county. I think there was 4 firefighters and a probationary firefighter from our Riley station, and then the rest came from other stations. So it wasn't that, the house is a total loss, but it is still standing. So they did we weren't able to go interior to fight the fire. The fire was just too robust. The structure was in a state where it didn't look safe to go in. We did end up afterwards, we kind of came in the back a little bit and did a little bit of interior work, but it was mostly fought from the outside. So, kudos to all of our staff that was there, showed up at midnight and left it forward, and they did a great job. Luckily it was hot, but it wasn't, at least it was at midnight. So that's the main thing I have, unless you have any questions.
I don't have anything.
Okay. Thanks.
Thank you, Russell. Yes, Commissioner, we're at 9:15. Well, Mike. Good morning, sir. Good. How much rain you get?
Greg and I got a half an inch up our area.
Listen, got radio this morning saying it's real spotty. Some places got 2/10, some places got a half inch. I think we got quite a bit by the way. Sure good about it. I didn't check the gauge. See, I saw it, the range a little bit. I thought, can't be much when I looked at it. Oh, half inch, I guess it did rain pretty good. Yeah.
And I really cold at my house. I said, I did go out, pull the rug out of the porch, because usually it gets soaked. I don't know, until his porch, swing porch. And all the cushions. So this morning I was glad I did, because it was a lot of fun. And this morning I took my dog out for a walk.
I was going to tell you one more thing.
Thanks, Matt.
I'll be on town on vacation next week.
All right. That's it.
In case anybody's looking for me.
Anywhere fun?
Bill and I was commenting on that. I couldn't even remember anything.
Oh,
Right across the I've been sleeping sound that night. So I did not hear. Slept in the morning and saw something about it.
yeah. Dylan, Tittle.
Yeah.
So he walked to the fire.
Yeah, it's just down the block from him. Well,
He
it
was-
was only a couple blocks, only 2 or 3 blocks over from the station.
Right. Yeah, I think us and the city got there pretty much at the same time.
Yeah, with both of them from that to the block.
Right.
Because usually I hear something. You can sound that.
Yep.
But you always ask them, "Did you hear anything?" I didn't hear that.
Finally, we showed up, pulled some sandwiches or something.
Yeah.
Gatorade.
Yep.
That's such good way going on vacation. It must be nice. Yeah.
At the official time.
Yes.
Okay. Good morning, Commissioners. Mike Bowler with the Riley County Noxious Weed in our monthly staff update to talk about weeds and hazardous waste. I'm sure your Commissioner's favorite topic of the month, but we'll get through it fairly quickly. Spraying for noxious weeds on county roads and contracted townships is and was completed last month. And spraying will continue on county roads for Cerisa Lespedeza, as well will the KDOT contract. We will be spraying the month of August and spraying for Cerisa along and throughout the month for KDOT on KDOT roads as well. The second round of mowing is coming in, and this is kind of where the rubber is meeting the road. And I'd like to kind of point this out to the commissioners. I'm very, very pleased with this. Commissioners may know within the last 2 years, I implemented a 10-hour shift on our operators. Last year, we were down one full mower for most of the season. We managed to stay right on schedule. This year, with all of our mowers operating, to be fair, we've had some really good conditions as far as growth, vegetation growth, and my operators are very efficient at what they do. But we are, well, officially probably this morning, we're a full month ahead of schedule on mowing. That has exactly happened 0 times. So I cannot be more pleased. I really do think that's where the rubber meets the road on that. I know that I'm saving probably 4 to 6 hours a week transferring things like lunches, breaks, drive time, you know, getting your day started, getting your day stopped, converting all of that over to mowing. This is the first year since doing that where I've really had ideal conditions. You know, the conditions as far as factors, as far as the amount of roads we mow, that sort of thing, has remained the same. So just couldn't be more happy. And you may ask, well, you're going to be a month behind. What are you going to do for that month? Well, I'm very pleased that a couple of years ago, I had asked the commissioners for a seasonal position to help out in the HHW. And that has really eliminated that need for me. When we get back to school, and the HHW material picks up, I'm going to be able to use 1, if not 2 of my operators who are also HHW certified to help over there. So I just couldn't be more happy. A lot of times it's all about trying to catch up and where we're going to, you know, make up. And this year I'm just giddy with being that far ahead. So I wanted to share that good news with the commissioners. Maintaining lagoon ponds started last month with the mowing of Deep Creek Lagoon and Terra Heights Lagoon. That's something that we help out and maintain and kind of work in cooperation with the Public Works on. I did hear them talking about drones and drone spraying has been popular down in Shawnee County, and that was on the news. A lot of people seen that. I thought that was really neat. Yeah. They do amazing things with the drone spraying, and talked with John Ellerman, Public Works, and he thought that we might look at being able to do some drone spraying on our lagoon ponds, as opposed to me having to go out on a little boat on the lagoon pond, which is not a pleasant experience. So probably money well spent in my book.
It's a hot day and you
Yes, I have a photograph in my office. It looks like I'm fishing at work. I'm spraying.
You might need to use the drone and make sure he actually isn't fishing.
Well, fishing in the lagoon pond is, yeah, that's not a pleasant experience. One in which I have done here.
So what do you spray for in the lagoon?
Well, we do spray for 2 things. The main thing is cattails can fill in the lagoons, and then there's a product or a plant called duckweed, and it does come in on ducks and replicates quickly, very quickly, and it creates a very greeny, mossy looking cover on lagoon ponds. Anybody who's seen a lagoon or a farm pond that's been fairly stale has probably seen duckweed. And duckweed replicates very quickly. And of course, the The problem with the lagoon pond is, or what you want it to maintain, you need airflow across the top of the lagoon to keep it aerated and to have the lagoon do what it's supposed to do, which is deteriorate the waste that's in there. But our lagoon ponds are inspected by KDHE, and a big no-no is having cattails or duckweed growing in them. Unfortunately, duckweed loves to grow in about the middle of July in 100-degree weather. And inevitably, KDHE likes to inspect our pond in the middle of July in 100-degree weather. And they want to know, well, how come it's covered with duckweed? And so we try to, if we get any kind of heads up, to try to treat that. And we try to keep it treated year round, but certainly make it functional. But at any rate, it would be beneficial to do that with drone spraying. And an acquaintance with CWDAK is one of the pioneers in doing drone spraying in the state of Kansas. And so I've got fairly quick access to him, and the prices are very reasonable. It used to be with aerial spraying, just to put a helicopter in the air is $2,500, just to put it in the air. And with drone spraying, you can do about 100 acre spray at about $1,500, which is very reasonable. Very reasonable. Neat to watch. They do a swarm spray where they connect several of them together. You do have to have, my understanding is, a pilot's license, a drone license to fly them. So not everybody can do it. So no worries. I won't be coming before the commissioners and wanting to buy a drone and get a license, because it just wouldn't be cost effective for us. But we may contract, I can see at some point possibly doing that. On the HHW side, Howie's Recycling Clean Out is August 12th, 2023 from 8 to noon. Again, no business waste, truckloads of waste. Wildly popular down there. Still consistently getting 60, 70, 80 participants in 4 hours down there. So always well attended. We do have more latex paint and items to give away. We have folks out 10, 15, 20 a week getting those items. But just like to remind, I do catch people every once in a while say, I heard that you guys give free latex paint. Is that true? That is absolutely true. People love that. Our Clean Harbors Clean Out occurred on July 11th, and our next one will be in September. Been very happy with our Clean Harbors there, and the service they're providing. It's just been smooth as silk. Used to be a clean out, was really a couple days prep and then a full day and then about another half day getting it done. They've brought in their checks the way they have. We're getting our clean outs done in about 4 hours in a day. So they've been wonderful. It's not cheap. It's been wonderful. CWDOK Summer Conference was in the month of July. I was able to attend out in Colby, Kansas. And got some credits towards my license. Enjoyed the area out there. I stopped and had a bunch in Hayes, Kansas, and that is getting to be a booming town. Very impressed with what they're doing in Hayes. Just very impressed. Colby has its charm. I personally like the solitude. I really do. I like I like going to Walmart and not having to stand in line. I kind of like that. So and we had the opportunity to go out to a traditional chuck wagon in the middle of nowhere in Colby, and it takes about 3 minutes to get to the middle of nowhere from Colby. And I stood with my camera and just filmed. It looked like a scene out of a movie. I mean, there was nothing but miles, which is kind of refreshing. I kind of like that. And then currently Justin is down in Dodge City today. He's down there, a company called Cortiva, putting on some credits for his applicator license. He was unable to attend the spring conference this year where we get our certification. So he's down there catching up on emails. So, and with that, in a nutshell, commissioners, that's our month so far. So I'm real happy with where we're at. Equipment's up and running. We're expecting to get our new tractor yet that we ordered. It was told going to be late July, but I was really anticipating we wouldn't get it until January, but it looks like we are going to get it in August. So I'm very pleased that some of this supply chain nightmare that we're all taking, I think the dam is starting to break on that a little bit. So hoping to get a new John Deere here soon. And I'll report to the commissioners next month and we've got it. Come out and take a look at our new yellow and green tractor. Any questions, Commissioner?
I have a question on the lagoons, the mowing and the weeding. Do we get paid from those from districts, or is that part of our?
My understanding, and that question would probably be better answered by John. I'm not sure. I believe the county actually owns the lagoons.
That's why I wasn't sure whether that was part of our work or whether the district paid us.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident. I don't want to definitively say, but I'm pretty confident the county actually owns those lagoons. And then, of course, Public Works, we don't charge them. Right. They ask us if we can mow them if we mow them. But pretty certain that's the case, Commissioner, but I can't be certain. I do know there's maybe some other lagoons that fall into, whose responsibility is this and how's this going to work? One that I can think of is out at the firing range at RCPD. I mean, I guess that would be something that would be our responsibility. And it looks like it's probably growing up a little bit and being dealt with here moving forward. I'm sure that's something my crew will need to get out there and mow. We just have it. And spraying for the cattails is important because the root system will go down and we can crack the clay base. They need dealt with. They absolutely can't just let them go. And they're difficult to kill because of their structure. It's hard to keep chemical on them. If you think you spray chemical on something like this, so you use a lot of surfactant and you've got to spray at the appropriate time.
John had said for one of the Deep Creek ones, the problem, that's a problem down there, especially. So
Yeah. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michael. Next commissioner, number 9:30.
that's the idea.
I know.
It's like pretty good chance for rain.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Raining now.
Yeah, I see the drops. Darn, it's raining at my house. Hey Steve,
No.
How we doing? Yeah, it's
bad, how are you doing? It's a question.
bad. Yeah, I stepped outside and just.
You're the key to keeping it raining outside. Get back out there.
Yeah, I can say. My dancing worked, I guess.
Would your wife agree with that?
Well, you should, yeah, actually, she makes me do it's so funny whenever she drops me off someplace or I walk inside, she sets certain weights and I have to do this little wiggle. And then she goes. We were with someone and I'm just like, what's wrong with you guys?
Figured it was a good morning to catch up on my emails.
Don't worry, by the time you're done.
Yep. Yep.
What?
You just amazed at how fast they pile up.
Oh, it's crazy. I thought, well, I can hide in the corner and clear out those emails.
You literally can't hide in the corner because the camera don't catch you there even. Looks like Steve did find you though.
Yes, he knew I was here. I wanted him.
Okay,
All right, good morning, Commissioners. Anna Berthen, Riley County Appraiser's Office. I'm here this morning with our office report, staff update. Personal property, we are migrating the personal property manufactured homes into Orion. All the most mobile homes should be converted this week, hopefully. So we're excited to get through that process quicker than we anticipated. The second quarter waterfront report has been received. The staff are working through the report. Personal property, we are excited to announce it's fully staffed and training is underway. We're working with the treasurer's office, getting staff trained on some of the functions of their mover system. The system has reporting functions and search functions that will be useful tools for our office. Agricultural, we're still continuing the sales validation and ag use review. For residential, sales validation and annual review are continuing. We're just under 70% complete on annual reviews, so that's quite the improvement over last month. There have been 620 sales recorded, of which 556 are residential properties. Both of those figures are up over last month's update. The median sale price is currently only at the $223,000. This is down slightly over last month, not significantly down. When we first started doing those reports this year, nothing had been validated yet. And now what we're looking at is just the valid sales. Every sale that has actually been reviewed by the appraiser and has gone through the full validation process. So this will shift over time. That median ratio though is still currently at 95%. So I'm happy to see that. We have 206 total permits, of which 30 are new dwellings. There's a total of 6 small claims hearings relating to the 2023 evaluation for residential. 2 we've received decisions on. 3 were heard by the small claims division and we're waiting for those decision letters. And 1 was rescheduled and we're waiting for a new date. The only other outstanding appeal regarding 2023 valuation for residential, ag, and vacant are those 9 parcels with 1 property owner that appeal to the full board. They're docketed, but we have not yet received any schedule. And I have attached the commercial BOCC cases. When I put this together, there were no notable changes, but the day after I uploaded it, I was notified that we did have 2 dismissals. So the Morrow Apartments dismissed, as well as Mercy Health dismissed for 2022. So that's great news. I want to also point out, we do have a few appeals scheduled right now for August 21st and October 25th in Topeka. Everything else has been continued. And our commercial analyst Steve has prepared and continues to prepare to send off exhibits as we receive notification of the appeals being scheduled. Now, following our last meeting, there were some questions regarding the costs for BOCC. And I wanted to just provide you with some basic ballpark information, okay, on how things get costed for the counties and as BOCC grants those continuances. As an example, when we look at the Home Depot case from 2018, right, we had expert witness testimony we paid out in 2020. It was supposed to cover both 2018 and 2020. And it ended up, BOCC granted the exemption, the extension for 2020. They only heard 2018, and we paid just over $3,400 for that 1 expert witness to testify. Had both cases been heard, we would not be looking at having to pay $3,400 every time they have to testify, because that covers preparation for the defense as well as being there for the day to testify. Not only that, let's see here. So we'll go through that same process with Home Depot for 2020, 2021, and 2022. And as a rough estimate, with the current outstanding BOCC appeals, we've paid approximately $61,700 for fee appraisals in the last, that's with all of the appraisals we've actually commissioned. Not every property that's on here required a fee appraisal, but in some instances, historically, we always got a fee appraisal and that was continued. And so far that's what's been paid out. If we consider our representation, this is just a very rough estimate. Once every one of these cases is heard, we're probably looking at, for our representation, approximately $118,000 for every case. Now, some, as I've told you, some of them get heard, they get spread out over time. This is estimating at least $2,160 per hearing. With the preparation, getting our staff prepped, going to Topeka. Expert witness testimony, though, will cost approximately $46,000. When you anticipate what we paid for just the one Home Depot testimony, every time there's a fee appraisal and they won't hear them all in the same day, we're looking at having to pay that 3 different times versus when they would hear them all together in one day, we're just paying for that one time for them to come up. So Shiloh was a huge help. And so we were able to also kind of estimate what the interest payments look like, because we do have, now we couldn't do it for all of the properties. So what I did is I got with Shiloh and we looked at one really big property and one not quite as big, Home Depot. And I thought, if BOTA was to lower their value to the requested value. So part of what comes into play is interest rate change, as well as we don't know officially what those values are going to be. So what we did is we looked at the total figure. If hypothetically they got the value that they wanted. So a refund, including the refund, when you look at the interest, 2019, 2020, we're at 4%, 2021 and 2022, we're at 2%. That's how much interest is paid by the county on any kind of refunds. For the 3 outstanding years of 2020, 2021, 2022 on Home Depot, if we settled effective September 1st, just the interest alone would be $11,643. Now, with IHOP, if 2019, 20, and 2021 were settled, the interest would be $5,138. There's a big difference in those appealed values and where they end up, but when they continue these, that interest just builds and builds. And so we don't know, we do what we can with what we know. And unfortunately, counties are at the mercy of BOTA and the opposing counsel. In some instances, the goal of the opposing counsel is to drag things out as long as possible and kind of force some of those counties into settlement. I do believe, as we've kind of talked before, that it could come down to a legislative change. If opposing counsel requests continuance, then the interest payment should stop. I mean, especially when it continues over and over, year after year. It just puts counties in a really financial strain that these cases have gone on for so long. So that's just a little bit that I had for you. I didn't put it all in here. I worked well with Shiloh, really appreciated her helping me kind of get that calculated out on those few. The commercial analyst, Steve, is still working to complete our neighborhood analysis and our land analysis. A couple last things I have is the vacation reminder. Today I'm out after about 12:30. If there's an emergency, you do have my cell phone. Please don't be afraid to call me. My staff have been instructed of the same. I will have email, very limited, but we'll do what I can to check anything that may need immediate attention. At the end of the month is our IWO conference. Steve, myself, and Melanie will be attending. I'm really eager to see what they bring us this year. There's a lot of education sessions. It's packed with education from across the country and a few also outside of the United States. So it's always great to see what they have for us. The residential position's been posted. We are hopeful to have that filled soon. We've conducted some interviews and we'll be continuing that next week. Do you have any questions?
When will you be back from vacation?
I will be here on Wednesday.
Oh, makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, it's a short one.
Not very long.
No, not very long. Too much to do. Any other comments, questions? Is that what you were looking for on the BOTA stuff, just to kind of give you some ballpark? All right, well, thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
For your time off.
Thank you.
Next commissioners, you have Mr. Kurt Muldrup at 9:45. How's Kurt?
Awesome.
Good. Good.
You got a minute? Good.
Me? Done anything yet? So this rolled up for him.
Yeah. That's the same thing.
So we have to declare a public hearing
Yeah, we do.
at the beginning of the
Maybe you can do it whenever you want, before he presents or after he presents, and then when you allow public comment. No public comment, and just close the meeting. You can do that, you can share it yourself, don't need a motion on it.
I didn't know if it was gonna be full.
Yeah, you can do it either way. After his presentation on the floor, the whole thing is. No, not for this one there. And no, most usually not there.
Okay, I would like to open the public hearing for Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant.
It's a mouthful, isn't it? Kurt Mulder here, the Assistant Director for Allen County Police Department. And as you said, we're back again for the annual request of the Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. It's a grant awarded by the federal government to the BJA every year to state, and then that goes down to local entities, the BOCC being the pass-through for the RCPD for the grant. This year, we're being awarded $24,411, and our intent on if we receive the grant, which, as you know, isn't a competitive or a matching grant, intend to use it to purchase 26 duty handguns, 20 holsters, and 52 iron sights. Those are the front, back of the sights for the guns. Those are weapons that just as we need to cycle through with new officers, and as weapons get used, they need to be recycled to maintain their safety. This is something we use the grant for regularly, is either weapons that we use for radios in the past, etc. So again, the purpose of this is the public hearing. The grant requires there to be a public hearing on it, as well as permission for you guys, since you're the pass-through, to be able to apply for the grant and then use it for these purposes. So that would be our request.
Okay, are there any comments or questions?
I don't, it's pretty standard. We go through the process every year.
I'm not saying any public comment or questions, so I'll close the public hearing. Discussion of the board. Approval.
I don't have anything, so I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the fiscal year 2023 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Assistance Grant. Well, there's not even a good acronym for that. Program application for the Raleigh County Police Department.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the 2023 Edward Byrne Memorial Justice Grant Program application. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much for your time.
Have a good week.
Sure.
Next, Commissioners, you have Mr. Craig Cox, with the resolution for the issuance of County Geo Bond Series A 23 for the High Plains Ranch Street Benefit District. Have a little bit of work. That's great.
You're doing fine.
Good.
You know, two bond issues going at the same time right now, and a major job for me to keep straight, and because if you notice the documentation, Mary Carson's office doesn't say, "Oh, this is the High Plains Ranch bond," or "This is the University Park." They have this is the Series A, whatever number, and she just does it by this number, which doesn't tell me anything. I'll get these emails from my neck. I sit down and sort through and say, "Oh, okay, so it's for this one, it's for that one." It's been interesting for the last couple of weeks. We'll get all the bonding done by the end of next week.
Yeah,
That's good.
it's unusual.
This puts High Plains Ranch Road to bed, and we'll get the temporary bonding for
John's project.
UP next Thursday, so that'd be a good deal.
Keep that thing rolling.
So you got a property yet?
I think they're planning on using the district's property.
After
Oh,
lunch today, discussing, they got something else, doing something else.
yeah.
I'm not sure what, I don't know what, they just said they had some things they want to go with.
John, what do you think of the Royals trades?
I don't know what they're doing.
Won 5 in a row.
Yeah, I know.
They hadn't run more than 2 in a row this year. Yeah, before
No,
that, they
they hadn't won back-to-back games all season.
hadn't even won back. Oh, I thought they had won more than 2.
I mean, well, I mean, I'm not, I don't do a lot of strategy like you do in sports, but I mean. Training this time of year, that's only for a team, like if you're in contention, you need to, but for the Royals, it just seems crazy to do a trade. Like that.
Well, I mean, they're just trying to,
Loading, so
yeah,
it's
yeah.
something.
The move with Nicky Lopez was the one that I just didn't understand. And they're getting a pitcher that's got like an ERA of 8, and it's been
I really like him because I thought he was a good infield.
good, solid utility type of player. But yeah, I don't. The Royals are so behind on pitching though that I think they're just throwing darts. I don't know.
Yeah, which is a little scary.
Yeah, but they unloaded 2 of their best probably relievers too currently. So I don't know what the philosophy there is.
Is the kid at K-State, is he coming back next year, the pitcher?
The reliever.
Yeah.
Didn't have enough years yet.
Yeah, he's got to pitch one more season.
Was he a sophomore last year?
He wasn't. Yeah, I think he was a true sophomore. Yeah.
Whatever it was, I think we had one more year for him. So
Yeah.
Right.
I went, I drive by the football stadium every day when I could go home from work, go to work, I found this morning said 30 days.
Yeah.
Kick off.
We talked about that earlier. Yeah, they started practice on Tuesday.
I have my oldest granddaughter, she'll be a sophomore in high school. She's just a crazy K-State fan. And so here, when it was kind of buying ticket time, she called and said that, hey, have you bought the tickets yet? We go, I didn't think I was going to buy tickets this year. She put the heat on me.
We gotta get on that.
We bought tickets this year.
Get on that.
Softy
Grandkids
grandpa,
can do that.
softy grandpa, has been one of your kids had been no.
Well, my kids, I'll buy one game. Yeah, she's just crazy K-State. She has a different love interest every year, it's Will Howard now, and of course, she's had Mahomes for a couple of years, as a love interest, very disappointed when he got married.
No boy. I'm gonna stay out of that.
He's got a couple kids now too.
What's that?
He has a couple kids now too, right?
And he just had
I think.
they just had another one here
Did they?
spring.
Oh, really?
So 3.
2.
Oh, 2.
Just
That's-
Pay that close attention to him until it's football season.
that's maybe-
I kind of documented that on that
I'm
Netflix
not interested in
series.
the rest of it.
It's a Netflix series called Quarterback, and they kind of go through it's 3 quarterbacks: Marcus Mariota, Kirk Cousins, and Patrick Mahomes. And with-
I was in line in Dillon's, all the magazines, when you checked out, they had 3 quarterbacks. I don't know if it was the sports or whatever it was, but that was saying that it's kind of a do or die now for them, and I can't, somebody was quarterback in San Diego, something with an H Herder,
That's Justin Herbert.
maybe that,
But he did good his rookie year and then kind of fell off a little bit last year. This will be his 3rd year.
I thought it was interesting that the Big 12, early on gave accolades to the KU quarterback and not to Will Howard, but here's my thought about that. You know who Will Howard reminds me of as a quarterback? His coach, Coach Lyon.
Yeah.
And I think, man, that combination is just going to be powerful. I mean,
Klein was actually recruited as a tight end here, moved over to quarterback. He played quarterback, but
Well, and you know, there was some talk about moving Howard to the receiver.
yeah,
So
Yeah.
I think that's a good comment.
didn't work out that way in 20 with Skylar Thompson.
You know, I just think that they're trying to the same mind. Should be a good year to see how.
I think our quarterback room's pretty good. It's about as solid as we've probably had. Johnson. And,
I always worry about the sophomore year, not right, but the second year. You know, sometimes second year is harder than the first year because everything just there's more expectations the second year.
I think the pressure's on the offensive line.
What's
They were
that?
so good. To repeat that, I remember one time Darren Sproles had the same thing, and the same line came back and went, well, what happened to him from last year? So I'm hopeful they can stay solid like they did last year. We'll have a heyday on offense.
curious to see how the wide receiver group works out and what we do in front of the defensive line.
Haven't heard much on the wide receiver group. Did kind of early on, but the Garcia kid came on strong. He looks awful good.
Oh, the linebacker is good.
Yeah, we got
Yeah,
good.
and
Well, we got
safety-
Danny
safety.
Green back.
Green came back, Moore's there. Yeah, we were pretty good there. It's up front on the D line that
Well, and then it's behind the linebackers too.
I think we're okay there.
Replaced
Savage is
more guys
back.
that are on NFL rosters.
Yeah. We had depth there. We had a lot of guys that played. So
Hey, that's the cost of a successful football program.
yep. Be interesting to see who comes on at running back too, whether it's Ward or Giddens.
I really like Giddens. I hope Ward's a good compliment too, but I really like Giddens style.
I think they're gonna.
I hope they give him.
I think it's gonna be a 1-2 punch there. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I really like Giddens style.
And then changing sports, and Kang made quite the statement here recently, did he? He got interviewed by a major TV show. And saying that his goal was to win a national championship. No,
I think that's probably the team. If we get one, we'll probably do it. Well, he's got it set up anyway.
that's probably expected of every coach in any sport, though, really, if you think about it.
Well, they gotta say it, but he made great leaps his first year to prove that maybe he has a chance to get there.
He's recruited well.
I think he's hired great coaches too. Expanded playoff system next year. 12 teams in it next year.
Yep.
Which was this year.
So that's next season, not necessarily next year.
Next season, the next football season, yeah, not this football season.
We have about 30 seconds.
You like look way too early, it's like, then it comes a little bit closer to this morning.
Good morning, Commissioners. Craig Cox, Deputy Raleigh County Counselor. What I have before you this morning is the GO bond for the High Plains Ranch Road paving project. Just a little history on that project. Back in September 2022, that's when the commission authorized the paving district and the repaving of the road out the High Plains Road. Then this year, but in May, you approved the assessments to be assessed against each property owner to pay for that project. During the prepaid period, a little over $74,000 were paid. I think 4 property owners prepaid their assessments, leaving the balance to be financed through a GO bond over 10 years. That brings us to today. The resolution before you really does 2 things. There's 2 documents I attached. One was the actual resolution. The other was the bond purchase agreement. That's between Riley County and Kansas State Bank. That's the term of the agreement that the Kansas State Bank will purchase the bond. And then the actual resolution authorizes the issuance of the bonds, which the bonds being held by Riley County. And so really, you have to approve both documents today: the purchase agreement by the Kansas State Bank, and now obviously the issuance of the bonds to the county. With that being done today, that really closes out the High Plains Ranch Road paving project. And I don't know if anybody has gone out to see the road. I actually drove it with staff a couple of weeks ago, and it's a nice road. Not only for this price did they get a nice paved road, but because we did make it a county road, any road that's paved then becomes county maintenance. So they also got the benefit of having that road maintained out by the county. So I think it will serve the residents out there very well, and will serve a good purpose. Any questions? We would one motion will take care of both documents, because the resolution itself in section 24 authorizes you to sign all the necessary documents to sell the bond and issue to sell the bond and issue bonds. And so just a single motion to approve the resolution will do that.
Anything else? Okay, I'll go ahead and move. The board approve the resolution entitled Resolution of Riley County, Kansas, authorizing the issuance of the county general obligation bonds series A 2023 in the principal amounts of $92,500, specifying the terms and details of the bond and providing for the levy and collection of special assessments or taxes to pay the principal and interest on the bonds when due.
I'll second.
So moved and seconded to approve the resolution of Riley County, Kansas, authorizing the issuance of the county's general obligation funds. Series A 223 and principal amount of $92,000 as presented. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, commissioners, see all those yellow tabs? And I'm gonna say this is the John Ford rule, but it's really well before him. It was a very stubborn county commissioner, Bob Newsom, who once said, heck with it, I'm gonna stamp them, and they promptly got sent back. So have fun signing. He did try. No, he did it. They said, no, not even for you, Commissioner.
I will tell you that
It's
last week,
so I'll pass you the first one and then.
okay. I will tell you, last week, Mary Carson warned me that she was going to give you writer's cramp this week.
Actually, why don't I pass you the second piece and I'll do it, then we'll trade back.
I was gonna blame it on Mr. Cox, but it's actually Mary Carson's fault, and actually it's bond law's fault.
That's kind of ridiculous.
That's okay. It's a serious thing.
The green document, I've never understood that Catherine has there, because on the same day, I have to sign it 3 times.
Yeah, I
Why not
see
just
that.
sign the same thing once? So I don't.
Takes a lot of stickers here. Sign, sign,
Charge it.
Yeah, yeah, there you go.
sign, sign,
We
sign.
get our money back.
Sign, sign, stamp.
It's really got a couple years ago. I always find a hard time. Trying to manage.
My mom.
Hey, John, I remember seeing, isn't it Carla and it goes back to the big one.
Yeah. I'm not real thrilled.
I'm not either. Good thought, though. Good thought.
I almost go there. Charlie Brown. So high. We're gonna do it. But once it's usually so.
Sure.
Actually, Cindy does that for us. She does. If she catches my stuff from time to time.
Cindy and I had a conversation just about the coffee.
Yeah. You both have seen it many times.
Yes. Only 3 of them are out of all of them. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Yeah, yes, everything off the list. Well, we'll just have to put the assessments on the tax roll and send them their bad news.
That's not too bad since they're prepaid.
Well, no, these was the ones on here that get assessments. For this 92,500.
Really?
I'm sure she will tell.
That's where.
That's true. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Your signature won't look the same when you started out as when you did. Mine doesn't anyway.
I'm trying to be.
Yeah, I maybe try it first and then I just start scribbling.
I can just initial it.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Actually, you're at free will to determine what your signature is. That's for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever switched. The green ones is just me.
Last 3 or 4 in here, all.
3 years. That's how I. Because maybe we get back.
It's not a big while, if anybody else needs a break.
It's talked about them both that, so I know.
So John doing?
Okay,
Good.
I think about it, but yeah, I'm okay. One of those days where I wish I could go back home and do it.
I'm just worn out today. It's been,
Until about Thursday, it's getting towards the end of the week.
And we're probably gonna go back to Garden City tomorrow. For a wedding, but it's not. I didn't want to have to go back very many times. Everybody got here. Father-in-law's still late, and so we will probably make a few of those.
I've got daughter's couple's baby shower this weekend, so I gotta have some of that kind of fun too.
that time of the year.
Who would ever thought of couples baby showers?
No,
My sister had one.
Oh, everyone does anymore.
really?
Oh, yeah, they all.
Why?
Because you got to get free stuff.
Well, it's for. You don't get double.
That's not gonna be the night day off. They got to get.
No. Exactly, my point. That idea. Take it back.
I won't disagree. I won't disagree.
The wedding industry,
Huh?
the wedding
The
industry.
wedding
Yeah,
industry.
that's the one really good.
Oh, my. Yeah, you just add the word wedding in front of it and triple the cost.
Yeah.
Yeah, flowers, that'll be $1,000 for these.
For this one bouquet?
This.
For the little weed. I'm like, that's a weed. I know what.
And that's Teresa Lespetiza.
Those are my weed.
No, it is. It's a racket. Play on people's emotions.
Well, everybody has to do it too.
Oh, yeah, monkey see, monkey do is what I call it.
Looking out through each other.
Vegas.
My son's trying to keep it low key and finding that difficult. He's consciously trying to.
He's doomed.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's
He's
good.
doomed. He'll figure that out.
I told him I laughed at him. I said, he wants a wedding plan. So I said, remember that engagement ring you thought was so expensive? That's the least expensive thing that's ever going to happen to you in this relationship.
You should get on YouTube.
That's a low down payment.
Yeah.
You should get on YouTube and see the interview Mike Leach, Coach Mike Leach.
Oh,
Somebody
that'd
asked
be
him
good.
about weddings,
But that'd
and
be
oh,
good.
it's
Oh, I
great.
have to watch.
Yeah.
that.
I've never seen it.
I can make a note of that. Because he can be a hoot.
yeah, it's classic.
Yeah,
Classic.
he said something about, well, then other time he's talking about the guys paying more attention to their girlfriends and football.
Yeah.
And the distractions.
He goes to the wedding invitations. Well, I like the blue ones. No, but there's the beige ones. And it's, he goes on like this 4-minute rant. It's great.
That's
This book.
this one was pretty easy.
I told you that story about my son and his bride. I never forgot. Yeah, I've never forgotten.
I hope all this paperwork is correct. You have to read through all this.
It was one of the few times we ever began a conversation with me about saying, "Dad, did you write this?"
Oh, yeah, I read it.
He stopped you dead in your tracks. Huh?
You Craig will come.
What?
Monday.
Who is
There was an error. We have to.
Who
We
is
have- Yeah. Yeah, no,
In that case, I'll teach Craig to forge my signature.
Stamp. That's what I'm saying. No. I don't even know why we even have one then. We don't get to use it.
So don't worry, we use it.
I know.
We couldn't afford anything if you didn't.
Even John, the other John, you're laughing at that.
I heard that.
Okay, that's rich.
I know.
Okay.
It's ridiculous.
Okay.
Maybe something that well into next week.
I feel you need the breath because I don't have anything to present. You're gonna get some time.
Instead of administrative work session, it should be administrative signing session. There you
You can, it's your agenda. You can change
go. I'll
the.
go ahead and scratch that off.
Another vote.
Wait, now. Cloudiness and rain doesn't help, you know, end of the week. Hot weather prior.
Is this me? That's K-State.
K-State Bank looks. Yeah, there's not a tab. there.
Oh, okay.
Okay, yeah. Here's the next one, next page of that.
Okay, this one was a lot easier. Fast.
The other one
Because those two, well, it's only those two, see, a lot of this.
If you pull the seal out, then you usually get.
Yeah, that's
all-
what I figured, had to go by that. That was. Science week.
It's like 5 stickers. None of the green ones, you know, sign.
No, we don't have it.
No.
I just noticed all
Yeah.
these whole stacks of them, Rich has to sign it 3 different
I
places.
know, isn't it? Yeah, it's.
And
Makes
you can
no,
take it back to your office and sign.
makes no sense.
Still raining.
Is it raining?
Yeah.
Good. I'm gonna start again. I checked a little bit ago and it wasn't.
Just trying to, I will do. Good. Once you get to the green ones, the rest of it. So.
You got to sign a couple spots.
Down to the green, the rest of it's stuck half off.
We're almost done.
Well, next week, some mornings in the 60s. It's gonna be pleasant to drive if that happens. Yesterday or the day before I came out, I was like, oh,
Yeah, it was 82,
like 80 already.
80 and 80 humidity.
At least 80% humidity.
said nothing else.
Yeah. You can just feel it. It was horrible. Thank you. No, thank you. Yeah.
Of course, I have a lot more signatures.
I know, but yeah, thank you for a stack of it. Most of it was just easier.
Yeah.
Stick that foot through a lot, and then that's once stuff like that.
I'm sure that's it.
Yeah.
I think it's quick.
Where is it?
Yeah, so I'll. But on this. That's good. That's good. Good. That's good.
Where's it stand?
They have a big.
It was worth $1400. It was fun.
Put them off
It's
balance.
big.
No.
It'll
It'll end up being fair.
Yeah, like maybe we've got several. I didn't know, yeah, I looked at that and I'm like, where would you put that? If this is like wood around it. Like, forged metal, I don't know.
Yeah.
You think on the same piece of paper, even on the same side of the paper, you could just sign it once.
You know.
Never understood this one.
So I want to compare your signatures.
I already told Catherine that, I said, mine will not look like the same, so.
Even on the same page, they wouldn't look at child.
Guys.
Shop stand for everything too, right?
Just for the.
Yeah.
I'll clean it for other things. It'd be for. 'Cause I don't remember.
I wish I did. Nancy told me another dad joke this morning. We were just talking about how I never remember those.
You'd be more scared that he's behind you.
It's one of those things.
Well, figure yourself. Oh, David 5.
That's what we love.
Which why is he not here for this abuse?
He's joining virtually.
Okay.
So it's student, so I student owners and something because I'm smart.
Mine's usually somewhere safe and dry. Not where I am. Carrying it around with my briefcase.
A briefcase, I think you're supposed to have about. We have ours.
Yeah.
So,
Each of the screen paper they're on.
Oh, 20,
So I don't think I've ever seen many
20, 25.
pages of screen paper.
I don't know if they're running out of paper when they're running all those. I like paper, I thought.
No, they always do this one in green.
Do they?
Mm-hmm. They always do, but I've never seen this one. There's always been several, but.
Why green?
Color of money, I guess.
Well, yeah.
It was a pretty good guess.
It's just the muddy paper. You still got 5 minutes.
See for the time to bring on the cooler weather.
Yes.
Is it working?
No. John and I were talking about that. My favorite ties sometimes you can't wear. Can't wear. Yeah. I almost wore a Charlie Brown Christmas tree tie yesterday. I really did. I thought it was a nice red tie. I don't care if somebody asks me why I'm doing that. I want to.
So why can't you wear brownish colors? That's where we're moving fashion. Just what you want. Like every area is on. You can dress how you want.
Yeah. I'm still not used to the what's now generally accepted as brand views with a blue sea. See that all the time.
That's what I'm saying. Well, mine's down.
Yeah. Those rules were made to be bent and broken. Because if you bend them in style, and you break them, you just may not know what you're doing. I know, that was even a big deal for a former commissioner.
I know.
Yeah. Excuse me. It's just thinking.
Oh, it's not okay, because I still haven't come back.
Yeah, yeah, but it's.
No.
Okay.
I'll get you something.
Oh, that's like. We're trying to give more time for these documents.
Ridiculous.
I know. I just don't know. I mean, that's like. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I really explained that. Be massive. So that
Yeah, 1 minute, Rich.
I'll make it. You can announce it right. I don't know if I'll make it. 1 minute.
1 minute to go. 20 seconds. Yeah. Wait, no. Yes. Yes.
So thinking about the hell, it's ridiculous.
Good morning, Commissioners. Rich Barber, Riley County Clerk. Have the request to fill as needed election clerical assistants due to the upcoming election. And as you know, all staff has already begun. You previously just approved the Modus election system software. A new program that we'll be implementing an inventory system, plus we'll be doing the conversion of the electronic voting equipment, plus getting the new tabulators. That is all happening this month. So we have a lot of work to get done prior to, which includes training of staff, training of election workers, and the redoing of election procedures. So we definitely need the additional staff. This is probably the most cost-effective way to do it, since these are as needed / temporary type positions and don't have the full benefits cost if we were to hire full-time employees to do this. So it's a really good bang for a buck. As you can see, we've used 420 hours. We have 5,000 approved. It is within the budget, so I'm not asking for additional budget authority, just permission to advertise to hire the positions.
Any questions?
No, it's that time.
Yeah.
That time. Okay, I would make a motion then to approve advertising for temporary election workers for the clerk's office.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded as the approve advertising for temporary election workers for the clerk's office. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Commissioners. I'll resign. Commissioners 10:45, you have Vivian Leva and Shiloh Hager on discussion of expanded hours. Thank you.
I didn't say that.
Gary, have you recovered from the fair yet?
No, I haven't, but I made it here.
Did you make it?
Board.
Yeah. Imagine if it's not done, money. Supposed to be.
For no more money. I mean, actually,
That's a commissioner used to do and said they pass a resolution, all of us to get $10 a signature. We start signing down.
Maybe we come up with less page.
It's pretty extreme, since you only get $7 a day for a fence fee.
Yeah, $7.
What are you trying to become millionaires?
Yeah, we paid for this, we paid for our signature.
Some of us, trying to boost our retirement funds.
Some of us need to, and they need to keep working.
Yeah. Yeah. Cost of living.
Gotta keep buying that baseball stock, become majority owner.
Sure. We got a couple of $80.
Not yet.
Just if that happens, just remember who you need as a trusted advisor. Had it inflated.
I'll be sure to add that to the payroll. Still a little sprinkles for them.
Yes.
I know I've been needing and I've been able to get at it because I've had other projects I've been doing last 2 nights working on that heat. Boy. Got it. That's the first thing I thought of this morning. Good. At least the garden got some water in the grass. I'm getting red patches of grass.
I wanted a bunch of grass yesterday.
Planted 1, 2, 3, 4 fruit trees in spring. Walnut, cherry,
Spruce. Wednesday. Dig it out again.
Yeah.
Those are a pretty tree.
They are.
Very pretty.
Take a long time to get that.
Sort of. Dry.
Yeah. Good morning. And I was at a food mill. Makes it a little problem. I'm gonna do something. I'm gonna work on it. Especially because all the back. Yeah. Okay, it's 10:45.
Good morning, commissioners. I'm Shiloh Hager. Apparently I drew the short straw here to do this presentation, and I would love to see all of these people come to my monthly You know, my monthly report. I'd love to feel this popular every month. So Vivian and I are here today to go over the expanded hours survey results, but also to kind of look at what has led us to this point. And by the end of the presentation, you know, all we're looking for is some next steps for the county to start looking at, you know, retaining and recruitment strategies for our employees. And so I'm going to just go over a very brief history as to kind of what led us here, and then we'll get into the results. If you kind of remember back in the spring of 22, Riley County was going through some, you know, difficulties in retaining and recruiting employees. Seeing increased turnover, and if you remember a year ago, I came to you 4 weeks in a row with people leaving my office, and every week it was just another request. And at that point in time, we were also not getting very good applicants to even fill the positions. So and so that kind of led us to where we wanted to kind of look at what are our recruitment and retaining strategies. And so what the commission approved was a survey that went out to the employees, an employee satisfaction survey. And what came out of that survey were 3 priorities that our employees would help with our employee satisfaction. And that was equitable pay, more time off, and a retirement match. So you've addressed the equitable pay piece of it, and you know the staff is very appreciative of that. Just with that piece alone, I know in my office I've had to still hire several employees over this last year, and the number of applicants and the type of applicants has improved. So I have seen improvements in that area. So the next area that we started I was not on this committee, but there was a committee formed to look at these strategies. And the next area they were looking at is the more time off piece. And just to note, that working group was made up of several Riley County employees, new employees, old employees, employees with children, employees without children. So it was a diverse group of people who were on that committee. Some of the options that were discussed or that came out of the committee to address the more time off priority was increasing the accrual rate of annual leave, adding sick leave, allowing for flexible scheduling, changing hours of operations, hiring additional staff, and allowing remote work. Some of these potential options have a fiscal impact, some of them do not. So just to kind of give you an idea, looking at granting more leave as an option, that does have a fiscal impact, obviously, because there's a dollar amount associated with every hour of annual leave that is granted to the employees. But more importantly, it's something to look at is that even if you granted more leave, there are some employees that aren't able to even take the leave that they currently accrue due to job requirements, job restraints, workloads, etc. And, you know, I feel very strongly that Riley County has very conscientious employees who value the work they do. They value the service that they provide to the public. And if they need to be in the office to get that job done, they're in the office to get that job done. So then the discussion moved to ways to increase employee satisfaction away from that doesn't have a fiscal impact. And that's where the compressed work week discussion began. It first started at the department head level. We discussed it several times at several department head meetings. And during those discussions, what came out was that there are already several departments within the county that are doing some sort of a flexible scheduling model. the health department, ITGIS, Noxious Weed and Public Works, the county appraiser, they all have managed to work some sort of a flexible schedule, whether that's driven by the job or whether it's driven by employees asking for it. And so some other departments kind of looked at it and thought, well, can we make this work as well? My office, just to give you an example, when the discussion came up, I actually did my own little survey of my staff. And one of the things that came out was they would love to have, at 1 day off a week, like, work a 4-10. Well, at that point, we're not open to the public. So we tried it. I opened it up to my staff and I had 5 or 6 people try it. But what we discovered in trying to fit those days off within that 5-day period is that it left us short staffed. And the people who didn't take advantage of that opportunity were mad at those that did. And it became a scheduling nightmare for myself. So I had to stop it. And I had some very disappointed staff that, they would have really liked to have continued. Also, I think it's also important to note that many of our offices do run a lean office anyway. We don't have a lot of extra staff to fill in when people are gone and so when people are out of the office, people feel it. And I can only speak to my office. I know that you may have seen many times where I've had staff call in sick, staff who are on vacation. And you'll find me working at the front desk because I would rather fill that role than to pull somebody off the counter that could be helping a customer. So even in my office, I don't have a lot of extra staff just, sitting around so that they can fill in like when Vicky's on vacation. So then that kind of leads us to where we're at today. So the final recommendation that came out, or I shouldn't say the final recommendation, none of this is final. This is just one recommendation that came out of the work group, was a 4-10-hour work schedule where the county would be open to the public 4 days from 7 to 6 and closed 1 day a week. This recommendation would provide the same number of work hours to the public while also providing for 1 day a week for staff to truly disengage from their job and with very little fiscal impact to the county. And additionally, those additional hours would be outside the normal 8 to 5 model, which could be very beneficial to some customers. And, my office, in particular, we have people line up before 8 o'clock. We tend to turn people away at 5 o'clock because I'm very conscientious about my budget and I've tried very hard to not have any overtime. So yeah, at one point we used to help every single customer. If they were in the office at 5 o'clock, we would help them and I would have people there until 5:15, 5:30. We've kind of gotten away from that. And now we tell people, well, you'll just need to make an appointment for tomorrow. So the commission then approved a survey that went out to the public and to the employees to get feedback regarding this particular proposal. And so at this time, I'm going to turn it over to Vivian and she'll go over those results.
Scroll down here. So much information and I can't see straight. And I'm sure you can't either. You spent the whole weekend looking at data and results. We're just going to go straight to the slides. Let's make sure we can see them okay.
I can get it, Rich. Too close to me. Okay.
Okay, so like Shiloh said, the next step in the exploration was to take a wider, to get ideas what a wider audience would think. So on June 5th, the board authorized 2 surveys, one for the public and one for current staff. They were available June 6th through 30th. And I probably characterize the customer survey as more of a straw poll. It was really quick. It just had 2 questions. And we asked if the proposed schedule would make it easier for people to conduct business at Riley County offices. A total of 1,749 digital responses were received, and that's really a lot more than I've come to expect from public input requests. As an example, 168 people have completed the comprehensive survey so far, and that's been open for a couple of weeks now. But it still only represents about 3% of the adult population in Riley County, and 78% said no, the expanded hours would not help them. They are fine visiting during regular business hours. But 22 people said yes, they would prefer to visit offices at a time when we are currently closed now. Then recognizing that not everybody would want to complete a digital survey and would probably appreciate a paper option, we used the same questions and made paper copies available at each Riley County customer service point. And we also took them to city offices in Ogden, Riley, Leonardville, and then Penny had the great idea, since Randolph doesn't have a city office, we put them at the Sharps shortstop in Randolph because everybody goes through there. So we had a ballot box there as well. A lower number of responses. We had 203 responses by paper, and a little more than half indicated that the proposed 410 schedule would make it easier for them to visit Riley County offices. Then the second question asked them what time they would prefer. The digital folks, this held true about, 21%, 22% said visiting in the early morning hours or late evening hours would be easier for them. That's what they would prefer. With a few more preferring evenings to mornings. And then the same question, paper survey, 109 people indicated the best time for them to visit would be during hours when the offices are currently closed. Again, showing a slight preference for those evening hours. Am I going too fast, too slow? Okay. So then for the employee survey, it was digital, but 3 people requested paper copies. So we made those available and then we manually entered their responses. In total, we received 231 complete responses and 2 partial. Question 1 was just, are you full-time? And that was 93% yes. So 93% of the respondents, 217 people are full-time employees. And then question 2 asked if the proposed schedule is a benefit that they would enjoy. And just about 54% said yes, a 4-day work week is something that they would enjoy. The second question was asked specifically about job satisfaction, and positive responses were a little bit lower. First question, kind of, would you enjoy it? Second, would it increase your satisfaction? People had slightly different answers, about 51% yes. Then the next question was about logistics for job duties. It had the highest percentage. The question was, are there any reasons you would not be able to perform the duties of your job in a 410 week? And 34.5% or 80 people said, yes, there are reasons I cannot. I would not be able to perform my duties, but 65.5% said they had no difficulty, they would have no difficulty completing their tasks in a 410 work week. That's a little more down there, it says. So, and then there were also department head comments, which we submitted in written form and didn't tabulate, but 2 department heads said that they would not be able to, in written comments, said the schedule would not allow their departments to complete required duties. The next question, do you think the longer hours of operation Monday through Thursday would benefit Riley County customers and clients? Almost 57% of employees said yes, they think this would be a benefit to customers. And then the final question, do you support, and this is consistent, it's about mixed. kind of a mixed response, evenly split, but about 52% said yes, they support the proposal to move to a 410 work week. And then, so the numbers we reviewed do a good job of representing how people feel, and then the comments tell us more about why. There were a lot of strong feelings and a lot of long comments. 197 people total shared comments. It was optional. The longest was number 100 with 1,221 words opposed to the change. The shortest was number 55 with only 2 words saying yes, please. And I went back through, I found one shorter comment that was just the word no. Looking at the topics they mentioned, flexibility came up the most often. 52 people mentioned either needing or preferring a flexible schedule or allowing some sort of flexibility in scheduling, including either work from home or off hours work at the site. So if we're closed Friday, I can still come into my office and work if I need to, which is the case now. People who have access can come in Saturdays or off hours to work, so that is not expected to change. I pulled out a few comments mentioning these. So number 60 said to make something like this work best would be to allow each department to do what is best for them and their program. Comment number 73 said I would really need more flexibility in my schedule, i.e. work from home days if I had to work 4/10s. Childcare and dependent care were the main concerns people mentioned. Some people wrote about their own challenges and some people expressed worry for others. You can see the numbers there. Comment number 76, how could I get my kids to school from daycare? They're not open. This would make life miserable and not feasible for many employees. And then number 188, kind of an example of one for others. It works for me and I'm definitely for it. But if my kids were younger, this would be much more difficult to work around. I also have a very flexible supervisor that promotes the importance of family first, who would be willing to work with myself and other staff to ensure our family needs are met. Not everyone would have this luxury. So this person indicates like they don't have a problem. The people in their department would not have a problem, but they have concern for others in other departments who might have different circumstances. Family time was the next most popular and a very important concern. So 28 people commented the schedule would be harmful for their own families, family time or family duties, like making dinner or attending sports games that their kids are involved in. 25 said they think it would be harmful for other families. And then 7 said it would be helpful for their own family. I pulled out one comment, number 103, says I like the idea of working 4/10s with the exceptions of sports and such things that as a parent, I would need to be available after 5 p.m. to handle on certain days. The 4/10 sounds amazing, but I would be happy with still working 5 days. I also would like the certainty of my hours not being cut to 32 or 36. I hope this proposal goes well for everyone and fits everyone well. Exhaustion or other harm to a person's self, such as fatigue or other difficulty with working a 10-hour day. 38 people talked about that. 25 mentioned concern for the schedule harming other employees. Comment 203 was an example. I came to this job because of the hours that it offered. I used to have to work until 6 p.m. and on Saturdays. So having banker's hours is a perk of working here. And then for the positive, 47 said that the new schedule would be a benefit for their own happiness or satisfaction. 21 said it would be a benefit for staff in general. 10 said it would be helpful for productivity. 5 said it would be a benefit for recruitment. Comment number 175 said this would help out a lot with my school schedule while also working. Comment 223 said an additional free day would make weekend chores and commitments easier. So then relating to customers and clients, 32 people mentioned the new schedule would be harmful to the public. This is an excerpt from a longer comment that number 147 said, being closed on Fridays would not be beneficial for customers who live paycheck to paycheck and need to wait for Friday to pay their statements. 20 people wrote about the benefits to the public. Number 106 says, I think 4 days will help the community getting here to get things done without taking hours off their job. And then this I thought was particularly interesting. A few people mentioned having direct experience with a similar schedule, and these results too were mixed. 7 people said they are currently working a 410. 1 was neutral, 3 positive, 3 negative, so split right down the middle. 6 people said they have worked a 410 schedule in the past. Those are strongly negative. 5 negative, 1 positive. So then this is department head comments. That's kind of all the data I wanted to cover. A summary of the comments people shared. I gave you access to all of the text. It was a lot, but I didn't want to share that in this space because some of them were very personal and some of them would make it easy to identify who the commenter was. So out of respect, I summarized so that of course you had access to all of it. So discussion now, I suppose, you can answer questions however you'd like this.
Pleasure. Thanks.
I have a question for maybe Elizabeth. I don't know. How many people that we have interviewed with have actually requested that kind of schedule? I mean, numbers.
Well, that's a good question. I can't tell you that anyone has specifically asked, can I work a 410? We regularly ask people what the schedule is. Like they regularly ask what is the schedule, what does the day-to-day look like? And several of our departments will say, okay, even some of our staff works 410s and some of them work, 5/8s, or other departments just, have kind of give their schedule as is. So I'm not sure that anyone has come in the door saying I want 410s. I think it's commonly known or expected that the government works 5. So potentially they're not applying if that's the only thing they want. Potentially, but that's honestly just.
Okay, well, I was just wondering if we had any numbers that were really of people we tried to recruit.
Yeah, we have had people say, well, I'm looking for an alternate schedule, or I'm looking for work from home, or I'm looking for remote, those things have happened, but honestly, I'm not tracking who they are, and I don't recall anyone specifically saying I'm only looking for a work.
Okay, thank you.
One of the things you said, flex time. This isn't flex time, it's just different time.
Right.
Flex time, and several departments do have that flex time already. This isn't. Well, actually, this is limited. Some of us that have flex time. Yes.
I don't know if it would or not. It affects the hours that we're open to the public. But if a department head is flexible and allows, like if somebody has a commitment in the evening, they're doing a presentation or doing something for the community, and they don't have to come in as early in the morning, or they do something different, I don't know that this would change that.
And also, you say there's no cost, but actually there is. Every day, every vacation day, every holiday is 10 hours, not 8.
I think the accrual rate would not change. People would have to take 10 hours to be gone for a full day.
Well, we're saying you get so many days, and I should have read that thing. We get so many days, or they get so many hours.
They get so many hours per pay period.
Right. But then holiday day would be.
But holidays.
The holiday day that'd be applicable for you.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot to consider.
Well, and like I've had a lot of comments from the public, from businesses, from customers. And I haven't received anything positive about that kind of change. I'm not one.
I got stacks, obviously, of emails, public comments, and I got no public comments positive. And I don't, for whatever reason, you tried to split up to the paper versus the online one, but again, it's overwhelming if the public doesn't want it. And
Well,
we're
then now-
here for the public.
The question was, would it make it easier for you to visit?
Well,
So
I mean,
it's
that
not-
was a push poll, and even your employees noted that it was the poll was steered towards getting the results you wanted. Even some of your employees in their comments talked about the fact, and the fact that public wasn't allowed comments was another factor.
And
And I've gotten a lot of phone calls from people that are not happy about it, that do not think it will work. Like I say, emails and phone calls, it just doesn't work for most people.
And again, I like that Charlotte started with this. The goal is not necessarily 410. The goal is to find a strategy for employee retention and recruitment. This came out of the work group as the most feasible because it had the lowest cost. But to meet that need for more time off, everything's on the table. If there's something that would work better, if you want us to explore different options, do more research, that's certainly your purview. And I didn't expect this, like what would come out of the discussion today to be, okay, Monday, we're starting something.
Not gonna happen.
Well, I mean, taking a lot of time with this, and I appreciate that. It's just that, we've been very generous with trying to give people extra time off for holidays and extra time. Maybe we haven't looked more at all the other things like parental leave and other kinds of leave factors. Maybe we ought to look at that more than changing the schedule for the whole county. I'm kind of worried if we change the whole schedule for one department and not another, it's not going to be equitable across the board.
Well,
But you've already done that.
and that's the deal is
That's
the
fine.
services that we provide, they're not on an equal basis by equal department.
Yeah.
And that has to be taken in consideration when whatever it is that we look at, but here it's, this isn't an incremental kind of work into it type of change. I mean, it fundamentally changes everything that we do from top to bottom. And I've got a lot of questions and concerns about that. The one listed there and talking to employees separately is the childcare aspect, and we're going to lose
Really?
employees because of that. There's no getting around that. And that,
And only half, overwhelmingly the public said
Yeah.
no, and the employees only half said yes. So
Correct.
it seems,
um,
and there's already, every meeting we have, people talk about the childcare problem, and this just makes it worse. And saying more family time, if they're gone longer during Monday through Thursday, they're home Friday, but their kids are still at school, their spouse is still at work. It's not more family time.
we got to remember, here that our objective is to serve the public. That's the first priority. And that's been an overwhelming part of this discussion. And it spoke pretty loud and clear on that. And haven't heard from one specific sector. It's many, it's health, it's legal, it's building and construction. And listen to everybody along those lines. And
On the Chamber of Commerce wrote us letters.
Exactly.
You guys saw.
And I did.
I'm at the Chamber of Commerce wrote a letter that's approved. They said, this does not help anything.
And you're both exactly right. The services are why we exist.
Yeah.
And I think that, I guess what Shiloh, was trying to say at the beginning is in order to provide services, we have to be staffed. And so that's, the 410s is an idea, but we want to make sure that we're not losing traction on tenure and retaining and recruiting people. And so, and there's a lot of things. And you did mention it's not a step into it. There's things we can do about it. There are some local governments that are looking at have gone to a little bit longer days, Monday through Thursday, and half days on Friday, things like that. So, there are ways to step into it. It doesn't have to be drastic in one shot.
And I just want to be clear. I took some time and went through this process and tried to keep an open mind and a clear lens. And I went through my first district listserv, and I spoke with about 26 counties roughly, and majority of them aren't doing any type of this. A lot of them may be road crews, bridge crews, public works are working 410s maybe during the summer and or special projects. And so by and large, and even with the larger counties, because that's what we kind of have to compare ourselves to, nobody's doing it, and it's not a conversation.
The ones I did on the list too. One county tried it and said it was a mess.
Yeah.
And had to go back. One of them did say they do the 4 9s and a half day Friday.
I think that was Brooks County, I think. Oh, county.
Well, I've heard, well, see, we go there.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
but
Are you on with the, I don't know, the city of
oh,
Brighton
well,
just moved
yeah,
to
but
the longer days and then a half day Friday?
Yeah.
The city offices,
people are complaining about it.
are they?
Yeah. For a lot of complaints.
And again, these are, the changing of operations is one idea that came out that didn't cause fiscal impact and then,
Right.
and it did have an aspect of customer service to it, right? I mean, that's not untrue. We've asked the customers if they would be able to benefit from that. But there's other things we can do. And Catherine mentioned other types of leave. I wrote down parental leave, and there are other types of leave that, we want to consider how that would impact and if that would get the end result or not. Yeah, I mean, historically, our number is high. Historically, I mean, we're in this space that's different than it has been for a long time. So that's really, I mean, that's really the point of like, what do we need? Our employees have told us what they need to have better engagement. And I'm not saying that we all want 4 10s, but 50% of them said they would enjoy it. So somewhere we need to just think about what we continue trying to engage our employees.
But if they're looking for flex time,
I
you
agree.
could have, well, you could be open more hours, but not every, 5 days a week open till 6. Half the people work, 8 to 5 and the others work 9 to 6 or something.
You're right. This is not a
There's a-
flexible schedule.
No,
Yeah, this isn't flex.
No.
Because that's one of the things brought up. Oh, we need flex time. This isn't. flex,
That was
it's
definitely the comment.
Forcing
Not
something
bad.
else. And like I say, anyone with kids, not even with just childcare, but kids who have, if their kids are in school, then what do they do for after school, after school till 6:30 or whatever the parents become. It's not family friendly.
Well, and I can have a lot of people say they could do that, right? There was other people who commented on their own childcare, but
A couple said yes, but most said no. And
of the
and
people
also
that
the
were on
comments,
childcare.
the yes comments seem to be yes. The long
Yeah.
thoughtful comments were all no's.
The strong feelings were.
They went into a lot. People saying yes said, oh yeah. People no said no, because these are all, they were long thoughtful comments saying, this is problems.
and I would take that a step further in the conversations that I had with numerous employees, and I'm going to say close to 30, I didn't do a count. Those objections were spelled out pretty clearly too, and they weren't one department.
Yeah.
They were across the entire structure of the county. Yeah, I get, we're in a weird space right now. That's absolutely correct. And that's across the board. Life also doesn't take a 4-day approach either. And what happens when we may need to be here on a Friday? I mean, you talked about it earlier about, staff really approaching their job with professionalism and taking it seriously. I tend to think most employees right now, it's not the days off so much, it's just the actual hours. So whether it's 4 10s, 5 10s, 7 10s, or if we can manage to cram 10 hours into a 24-hour period, whatever. I think they actually just want the actual time away, from their duties and responsibilities in that 40-hour structure there. So
I think you're right. I think that's the original.
it's not that having the extra day off, it's just having the actual ability to lessen that 40 hours.
Yeah, how do we get some time off? Yes, that's exactly, I think that's my understanding. And then this was a solution to do that. But the other side is giving more annual leave. So there's a pretty good percentage of our employees who are not using their accrual every year because they feel like they have to be at work. So yeah, I mean, it's not dry. It's not a simple one solution that will fit everything.
Not everybody needs time off,
They do.
to relax, that kind of thing. If you go in private industry, you don't get a lot of time off if you're in the middle of big projects. You might work 12, 15 hours a day and 7 days a week. So it's, anybody's been in private industry knows that. For a small business, you just, you're tied down a lot. And, I look at, when I was a single mom, if I would have had to work till 6, I would have never seen my daughter, right? Because I would get home maybe at 7, in that instance, have to make dinner or something, would miss all the time in during the week.
Activities.
Mhm.
The kids have after school.
They have after school activities, and I had to say, you can't do a lot of that stuff, so, you know, that's not really good family time. Great.
Yeah, I take exception to the private industry because I got 2 divisions in my office that dealing with the tax roll and the R&R statements and elections that are working 12-hour days, 5 to 7 days a week when projects need to be done. So we have the same thing here as my point. You know, these employees are doing the same thing. And the thing about giving more annually doesn't solve the problem for Susan Bowl or Lori or Elizabeth. There's work to be done. They're going to be here. And so that's why a solution was hours when it was closed. And like you commissioners have heard me talk about this subject with you guys collectively and individually. For all of your employees, and especially your upper level, these are a problem. They never disconnect.
Yeah.
Never
Neither
disconnect.
Mine.
I get calls.
Never disconnect, but they're dealing with families and everything too. And so it's just thought of as a solution to hopefully enhance customer service with hours. We didn't expect the majority of the survey to come back and say the overwhelming majority of the public is going to say it's better, because we know the majority of the public are going to get their hours from 8 to 5. But there is a segment that it does help before and after hours. It does. And so it wasn't built as 100% are going to say before and after is going to be successful. It's just a solution to try and get to an end means of what the employee survey said was we would like more time when we don't feel obligated to be here. My staff has more than enough annual time to take it. They don't take it. They're dedicated to it. And it's not because I'm denying it. They know the result. They know what they need to get done. And so it's, you know, for me, today's a success if we say, okay, let's figure out what can we do. Maybe it's not 410s. I mean, that's what Shiloh and Vivian have said. You know, this was just what was recommended from the committee. And, you know, all the committee members are here. I think it'd be good for the committee members to stand up and be acknowledged because they've done a lot of work in who they are to show the cross section. Doug, I'm calling on you. It's Evan. And Evan and I was asked to by the department heads, represent department heads, but they've done a lot of work on this, and thank you to the board for letting us do that, because that's why I think we get a better product here at Riley County. You allow staff to do that. You allow department heads to have that dialogue, and we understand we have the unlimited power of recommendation, and whatever you decide we're going to do, you guys know that. We went through COVID. Not all of us agreed with COVID stuff, but we did what was directed. And I know you even struggled with the own decision you had to make on COVID. So we appreciate getting to this point, but 410s may not be it. But your employees have said, we would like this to be considered to do something, not necessarily the 410s, more time away, a way that we can get more time away, not obligated to our job.
We hear a lot.
I was just, you know, and you are correct when you're saying 47% of the employees said no. But you do have another segment of employees. 50% of your employees, you know, were in favor of something. So whatever decision you make, it's you're either going to make half them out or
Yeah,
I'm used to that. I'm used to
so
that.
you know, what I'm saying
I don't
is
think
that
they're gonna be mad. I don't think
Well, no,
they're gonna be
just
mad if they don't get what they.
no, I'm just saying
There
that
might be
could be
something they're supposed to.
disappointed.
Yeah.
But what I'm just saying is that I would hate for us to just end the conversation and just, you know, I still think there's still work that could possibly be done. Now, whether that's at a department by department level, maybe, you know, we have to look at that, you know, as
Which we're doing, a lot of parts are doing now.
right. But I'm talking about my department, I could, if everybody in my office wanted to work a 10-hour day with 1 day off a week, and we were open 5 days to the public, 7 to 6. I would have to have 3 people off a day. And because I have 15 employees, so 5 days a week, 3 people would have to be off a day if everybody chose this 10-hour schedule. So that's 2 people off the counter. I'll just use my counter staff. 1 person for driver's license. That's a third of my staff that would be off. Somebody has a vacation day, that's a 4th person. And then somebody called in sick, that's 5 person off of my 9-person counter. So it could be done. I just would probably need more staff to help to fund that. And so, you know, it might be something to look at, that I might have staff that, you know, only 4 people wanted to do it. But then once again, there's still work, you know, it causes hardship just within the office if 4 people do it and, you know, 12 people don't. Whether they'll admit it or not, it would. And it's, you know, my staff sees what other offices are doing, and why can't we do that? You know, so there's just consistency.
And that's part of what got us here is, you know, employees have seen and heard what other departments are doing, not only just with Public Works, but within our own facilities here at the Courthouse Plaza office building. There are many employees on 410s, and they wonder, why can't I do that? And it's been interesting going through this process, because you hear people say, well, you know, everyone should be able to do their own thing. We can't all do the same thing. Commissioners, I've served for 2 decades, and all of us run 8 to 5. Everyone, it can be done. Everyone can work the same hours. Yeah, strategically in different departments, they have to handle it differently. But we can all go to, including all of Public Works, 8 to 5. So saying that not all of us can do the same thing is erroneous. We can. We've done it. And like I said, when I first started my career, we were on 37.5-hour work weeks.
And there are some counties that are still only open to the public a small amount of time. And I do think part of the question, you said, you know, we are doing that. There are departments who have different schedules. I think part of the question when we started talking about a department head is whether everyone has the authority to do that. And I think that has to come from you as well. Is that okay? Is that okay that, you know, the treasurers might work different office hours than the clerk and whatever? And I think that wasn't completely clear if you had given that direction, because honestly, we didn't really have a compiled list of when we're all.
Announce that we're going to all 8 to 5 and then see the concerns you get.
Maybe each department head should evaluate it and bring it to us individually for.
That's what
approval.
yeah.
You know,
Public Works said they're doing it.
And I'd point out too that some of those other counties that are doing the shortened work weeks are small counties.
Yeah.
So they probably have small staff and they're not serving a larger part of a population.
And I mean, they're smaller. I would imagine they're smaller than us, but they're not.
Right.
They're not a Western county. We're not really small.
What comes up for me most is this idea of employee burnout, which I think we hear about a lot. That's kind of, to me, behind the request for more time off, and that anecdotal information is that when I'm off, I can't disengage, because I'm still, if people are in the office and something comes up, maybe I'm the only person who can handle it. So on my vacation time, I'm still working. I think that's frequent. I came from an organization that did allow remote work, and I know thoughts are evolving about that. We did it for a couple of years. And then some organizations across the country are against remote work now, but there are policy changes that we can look at for, okay, well, how do we get our employees some time to themselves when they don't feel obligated to work? Is it more staff so that we can still keep our level of customer service while people are away? So we can allow those people who have overmax vacation time to take chunks of time off. There are lots of solutions, but that sense of burnout to me is what staff are talking about.
well, you're saying that people aren't taking the time off that they're allowed. So, you know, maybe we need to encourage people to shut off the phone, you know, in non-emergency departments. You know, you don't have to answer every call if you're, you know, a clerk. So it's
They need to be taking that time regardless. I mean, that's not an encouragement. That's something that we need to push. If you have it, I mean, don't use it all at once or as needed, but you got it, take it, use it for this reason.
I would like people to keep a bank for emergencies, but yes, we should be taking time. And then, you know, our first year, it's a lot of those that are in that first year are not accruing a lot.
Yeah.
So sometimes they're struggling because they have any ability to take advantage. They do have a fair emergency. It's kind of, we've got these two ends of the spectrum.
And we have a comment.
A comment I hear a lot. Is people having to use 3 days of annual leave if you're sick, your kid's sick. Your kid's sick 2 days, you have to use 2 days vacation instead of being able to use your sick leave. I think if that was changed, that would help job satisfaction for a lot of people.
Yeah. I've heard that.
Well,
Yeah, I've heard
we
that
don't
too.
have sick.
No,
We
no,
don't
and
have
that's-
sick, yeah, so it's not about change, we just don't have sick leave. We should have. But
And that
extended
would be
sick leave is
something
also a
change.
huge advantage for anyone who has a major illness. I mean, we have people who've been off for 4 to 8 plus 12 weeks who've then been able to have pay because we have extended sick leave, which is not something that is regularly available. It's a huge advantage when someone needs it, but it's really catastrophic leave. It's not meant for an illness.
And other people give them time.
Yeah, I mean,
They're out of BSL.
yeah, and the shared leave, yes.
Shared leave,
Yes.
Surely. Sorry, I gotta correct Elizabeth. We do have sick leave. The history on our annual leave is the commissioners built in 3 days of short-term sick leave in those amounts that are allocated on an hourly basis. So new employees come along and they say there's not a sick leave pot. There is. It's allocated in the annual leave. Here's the old department heads way before me would say it was the best move the county ever did. And here's why. Because if it's just designated as short-term sick leave and Doug doesn't use his short-term sick leave, I'm not picking on you, Doug, just as an example. You know, I'm at the end of the year, I've got 3 days of short-term sick leave. Man, this sure would be nice as vacation. Guess what, Russell? I'm sick today.
Yeah.
Department head said that was the best move ever. People can take their leave and use it for what they want. So the
Well, I
older
think that
department
needs to
heads.
be- I think it needs to be conveyed because it was a newer employee that
Yeah.
was talking to me about it.
Yeah,
Yeah,
They
that's
need to-
really hard.
Dennis Peterson and the older department heads would say that was the best move they ever had because they
And I
didn't get
can't-
those
I mean, and
calls.
it does make sense,
Yeah.
the way that's done, but I don't think it's conveyed to all the employees, because some of them just say, well, we don't have sick. Yeah, you got it, but it's.
Yeah.
It's in your
And
annual leave
you're right,
allocation.
you're right. And we do give it in orientation and we do try to talk about it, that the advantage is you don't have to identify if you're sick or you just want a personal day or you want to, go on vacation. It doesn't, you don't have to identify that. But I mean, one thing, if we're moving down that path, is that even with our annual the way it is, and we are on the lower end, because I don't know when that was adapted, but it hasn't changed. Do you remember when that was?
No, Sherry would probably remember. Sherry's been here longer.
Probably in the 90s, wasn't it? Essentially, and so that accrual rate with that annual leave hasn't been adapted either, so. Were you born? Yeah. I've just heard comments from,
We've always heard that from new employees.
3 days is gone like this if you have more than one kid and they're sick all the time.
Remember, I wasn't always this old and I raised 4 kids. I was starting out in the treasurer's office as the accountant with short amount of time.
And I would note, you guys, I did give you the percentages of or the numbers of people that have less than 2 days, the number of people who have rollover. So that middle group, there's about 150 people kind of in the middle there. And on average, they have about 10 days of annual leave in that middle section, which would be their sick leave and their vacation rolled together. So just for reference.
Outside.
Yeah.
No, it's not bad.
That's the car over there.
Yeah.
But I mean, like I say, explaining that is sick leave is part of that. That's, and I
Yeah.
explain when they start, but it needs to be explained more often than that, because it was the newer employees that were upset. So I just go to work sick because I don't want to take my vacation days. That's not what it's about, but
Right.
you.
Right, but I think we
We
do
need
that
to-
as people. We say, well, I just want to go on vacation, so I use them up, and that's where my concern is that you don't have any in your bank to have it. And we do actually talk about it quite a bit with any new employee that, or any employee that brings it up. And interestingly, I had an employee leave. This is last year. He went to a local private industry, and I was talking to him about why he was leaving and what the advantages were, what he saw. And he was a young parent. And he had said to me, well, the thing there is they give you everything. They give you just personal leave. So you just take annual sick, you take vacation sick altogether, and you don't have to work. I said, that's what we do here. He said, but we don't have sick leave here. I'm like, oh, we do exactly in the same format. The disadvantage is you don't
Yeah.
have ESL, like there is no, that's all you get, that's the whole kit and caboodle, and his face was just like, oh, you know, I mean, he did, for some reason, he wasn't getting that from us and thought it was a better deal, but it was a little couple more days, I think, total, but
Maybe we ought to identify family leave time.
like parental leave or.
Yeah, like, you know, if your child is sick or your parent is sick, you need to help out or, you know, whatever, maybe.
There's an emergency. I
Emergency
think
of
that's
some
happened
sort.
several times here recently.
Yeah, it's personal time off. People will understand that more than they understand
Yeah,
total amount.
sure. Yeah, I mean, those are all the options. I'd like to know how, you know, we have to work out our.
I would say if you're gonna look at that, you should look at the gamut across the board. And if you're gonna do parental leave, what about people who have to take care of parents? You know, which I'm in that boat of age
Well,
now.
that
you know,
fits in the same category.
just the leave.
Family leave. Yeah.
And I thought it was interesting statistically, we have that 3 hour built-in time. Well, for a first-year employee, you accrue 96 hours, which is a total of 12 days. Take off those 3, that leaves 9 days. And so just food for thought, you know, if you're dividing it by a day and what you're allowing your employee to take, 9 days is, you know, limited.
Oh, most places do have less vacation in the first year or two.
That's not untypical your first couple of years.
Yeah, first year, 2.
Most go 1 through 5 and then the accrual rate changes till some other longevity date.
And I think some of the
That's next,
statistics they showed in their reporting defines some of the government entities and other places, and statistically what we offer as opposed to them is a little lower.
Yeah.
One comment I'd like to make, if you don't mind, on the leave time. It would be nice, our first year, we have a pretty reduced amount of leave that we give to employees, and I understand the purpose behind that. But after your first year, you get a boost. And then after that, I'd like to use the word decades, 9 more years before you can get a chance to leave. And I see a lot of employees about the 5-year mark, they're trained up and they're pretty marketable. And I don't think it needs to be a lot of leave time, but I would sure like to see the county at the 5-year mark, maybe give a little bit of boost in leave time. And I think that would be a good way of saying, hey, we've done 5 years. Maybe a little extra, as opposed to now you get the first year bonus and then, I mean, it's 9 years. Is that right? If we have employees that stick around that long, the reality of it is a lot of employees don't last. That's not happening. And I don't know what that would help in recruiting, but I definitely, that's some feedback I hear that it's a long time before you get a boost. The 5-year mark seems to be would be if the word goal that I think we see benefit back.
So what you would suggest adding a tier?
Adding a tier. Maybe at 5-year you get a tier, and then 10-year, of course, you get a tier. Yeah, I think
That the only one we have is the because that wasn't part of this discussion. I didn't go
Yeah,
through all that stuff.
It's
I don't-
first year 2 to 10 and 11 months.
Yeah, I mean, see that possibility.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of possibilities that we can help with satisfaction, but yet maintain.
Not change everything
not
so
change
fundamentally
everything really quickly. I
with
think
one move.
And but perhaps some of it is perception. You know, we have ESL that you do have to have the 3 days to access. Some other places have done things like a personal leave, birth, a family or parental or dependent leave. I mean, those are things then that are kind of people set aside for that purpose when we listen to them as such.
Another one that's kind of floated to the surface is a volunteer day.
Yeah. And that's
yes.
actually really good for newer generations have a
Yeah.
purpose.
Yeah. You know, take that day, go volunteer somewhere, and you know, you get that day paid for doing that, and get to do something you want to do with it, right?
Yeah, like teams might do it together or partial teams.
Yeah.
Russell?
We have that now policy. They just got to volunteer for the fire.
I think we need probably people that are gonna do that more than one day though, but point taken.
That's my point, we have multiple volunteer days.
Yeah.
Well, I could just walk out of.
Oh, I
the fire.
asked.
There's a lot of places that if they're volunteer firefighters will pay when they go on a call if it's during the work day.
And we do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Well,
And
any other comments, or have we got any direction forward here, or we want?
You can explore those
There's
options.
some options, but closing for the day is not.
No.
So to be like, I only wrote down 3 things. I don't know if there's other options you've thought about. I mean, I only wrote down 3 kinds of things that kind of came up, or other kinds of leave, adding leave. Is there anything else that I might have missed? That you're thinking we should get information on?
We want our departments to look at their own departments and bring it back to us individually,
Well,
something like.
I mean, to me, we got that information from most of them already,
Yeah.
already included in this discussion. And I mean, I've got a good indication of where everybody's at. So I don't think we need to rehash that, but
I think if you had new parameters, maybe you wanted to ask about, but I don't know if you do. I mean, I could certainly look, I did give a very rough estimate of the cost for any type of specific visit annually, but it should all be really the same amount of cost. But I mean, I have right now to explore parental leave, family leave, volunteer days.
and changing the accrual rate of
Oh,
5.
please, thank you.
And maybe we look at the accrual rate too and see if we need to just adjust it in general.
Okay.
Because we haven't done anything since the 90s.
Yeah.
Holy cow. I mean, that's,
Yeah,
yes, I know that comes with a cost, but
In regards, especially in comparison to our peers,
correct.
but we're low, doing it to the mid range.
Yeah.
I also wrote down cultural change or expectations during non-work hours. I don't know what to do about that, if it's a policy thing or something we can't even explore, but I wrote that down.
Yeah.
That's not gonna apply to me because there's one of me and I'm on 24/7, but for other people.
Oh, when there's a non-emergency, I think it does. I think that was Heather's words. I don't know if it's an emergency, if it's expected, but.
That is already implemented in my office, as my staff can tell you greatly. Matter of fact, Susan Bowler got busted last week on her time off, and I said, "You're not supposed to be on here." And she goes, "You already call you out there, Susan." But my supervisors and staff know, I know this is a problem. I
Yeah,
say,
it is.
stay off your phone, don't check your email when it's work related. People need a mental disconnection. They really do. It's not just being here.
Yes.
I'm working out this morning and I'm thinking about stuff I got to come and do here.
Yes.
We're all mentally connected to our work and what we got to do next or what we got to do the next day. And so my supervisors know, I instruct them, stay off. They don't listen very well sometimes, but they are clearly instructed that.
We need some sort of a campaign on that.
Yeah, we have to.
Not to add more work to you necessarily, but
That means you have to listen to that too.
Oh, I have no memory of this. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing.
Ride around.
Not working too much, that'll be a new thing. That would be a campaign.
no, I mean,
Yeah,
disconnect.
yeah, I mean, I do think that we have a challenge with that, and that is, it's wonderful to have employees that are that connected to their work and it's important to them, and it's proven that you will be more productive if you disconnect and you have downtime. So.
Maybe Corey can come up with a master IT.
That's what I was thinking, just cut off the phone and email service.
Corey, can you do that? It's got everybody on.
I can speak towards the disconnect, and then one of these days, hopefully we'll stop saying COVID, but since COVID, our outside of work hours calls that we get has greatly increased. Your evening and your weekend calls, to the point now where my staff, we end each week or we decide each week who is our on-call. We don't have on-call pay. But we have to make a conscious choice, somebody to say, I'm not going to leave. I'm always going to be around a laptop. I'm always going to be connected checking my phone over and over for the email of I can't print, I can't do this, what does this mean? So my staff, who supports all this staff, the more they work in an evening or a weekend.
Say, you tell them to quit quit calling you. I mean, seriously.
But part of that can be just new programs, new changes, new security things that a department has to go through, a program added at help, whatever that might be. That so there's a lot of ways you need to think about that is through naturally what they do is they just have that much more workload in their department. And so they're taking that as being, I'll take an hour tonight and get what done I couldn't do during the day. You know, so I can tell you that we've seen an increase since that point. We also, there's still quite a bit of work from home going on. What that did teach us during COVID is that could we have a staff work from home in different departments, and we found ways that it didn't work. And so now there's some, if you want to use the word flexibility going on within departments that they are allowing work from home or something going on. Well, that work from home creates a new set of challenges in how to support that staff from home. And we're even finding that work from home being at 7 o'clock at night or on a Saturday, or somebody's wanting to try to catch up on their emails on a Sunday afternoon. So my staff sees it. And like I said, we are to the point where we have that discussion of, hey, who's taking calls this weekend? Who's taking calls this week? And there's no compensation and there's nothing for that. So we don't ever disconnect.
But Corey, you said something really well there, that the productivity is still, it's still increasing, and we still have that expectation to get a certain amount of things done. And if we didn't have the time to get it done, then we feel that we need to get it done at that hour at night.
Yeah.
Right. So there's consequences to also telling your staff, you know, hey, disconnect, because they're not going to be able to finish that project up tomorrow again.
Just some comments I wanted to share on it.
Okay, thank you.
All right.
Well, we've got some good direction here and some alternatives. So
yeah, we're going to find some information.
Right, go for that. Thank you. Thank you all for coming. Good to see everybody.
Jake, I didn't think they let you out.
At this point.
Evan, I'll see you about one.
Yes.
I'll get up there right now.
We're done with the.
No, you tell them, boys, there's not anything really. Can't wait until. Unless there's a fire. I know, I do.
Everybody's like, it's not just.
I'll be sending an email at 10 o'clock at night and I'll say.
It's these that caused it.
Oh, yeah.
Your email and text are all coming to you and everyone gets buzzed. Susan she finally shut off every time she got an email that buzzes you. She finally shut that off.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
But she's still checking it because I busted her last week.
Okay, so. Some fine discussion. Anything else other than this?
No, not today.
You got any?
I said, go ahead then.
I don't, excuse me, I don't know necessarily how this works. I have comments, but I didn't necessarily bring them up during the formal discussion. Can I discuss them with you now informally or whatever? I mean, is that against the rules? I know about Como, I don't want to have any of that happen.
Well, we're still on.
We're still.
Get in front of your microphones.
State your name and position, if you would.
Baldwin Fisher, emergency management planner. I just. After retiring from the military, so 20 plus years, I see things a little bit differently than civilians, if you will. I remember the Army is much the same way right now as the discussion that's going on here, as far as we call it the electronic leash. But I remember the Army before cell phones and everything, and I was in then. And we still accomplished missions. We won wars. We did all of these things. So are we having the technology put this extra burden on us? Is my question. Why, I mean, well, people are dedicated to their jobs. Well, people weren't then. People, you know, I don't understand. When I go home, I go home. Here's why. In the army goes rolling along. If I die today, you're going to find somebody else to come sit in my chair. I'm not going to kill myself. I'm going to do my due diligence every single day, but I'm not going to kill myself for this. Why? Because my seat can be filled. So I personally don't see, unless it's a special project. Yes, you're going to burn the midnight oil, that kind of thing. I don't see personally the need, the necessity to, I'm on vacation and I'm still checking emails. Then why did you go on vacation?
That's true.
So it's for me, it's
a personal choice.
It's a personal choice. But what would happen if we didn't have the cell phones and the email? Once you went home Friday night, and on Monday morning you came back to work and your work is still there.
Yeah.
Is everything that we're doing now so fundamentally more crucial that we have to be working on a 24/7 schedule for ourselves? That's just for me. I don't understand.
And it isn't just in the county, it's we've become, I think
it's a societal and cultural
society. That's what
Because you see it in your work too.
Oh, yeah.
Right. But exactly what you said, Bolton, is exactly what I tell my staff. I said, guess what? If you or I die tomorrow, the job's gonna get done.
They're gonna feel so
Get disconnected and go.
It's serious, but it's not that serious.
That's why I say, instead of having a day off, what people probably want and really probably need is
To disconnect.
that time to,
Yeah.
somewhere within that 40 hours just to be away from it. However that gets
I
structured.
have my
but-
phone on block. I figure somebody, if it's not in my contact list, they can leave an email, a message, and if it's important, I'll call them back. Otherwise, I'll do it tomorrow. Most of it's.
I mean,
It's kind of like.
work from home. Well, that was okay in the past. Well, we won't see the C word. That was okay in the past because, the time necessitated it. However, I didn't feel like starting work until 11 o'clock this morning. So I'm now 8 o'clock at night. I'm still working. You're past business hours. So just because you're working from home doesn't mean that you can do stuff at 2 a.m. It means you're at home during business hours working like everybody else. I mean, unless you're independent, I'm a novelist. I got a brilliant idea. I'm going to get up at 2 and start typing. No, the treasurer's office is closed. Emergency management is closed. Whatever's closed. Why am I answering emails at 11 o'clock at night? Why am I receiving emails at 11 o'clock at night?
Yeah.
So I think that we might need to look at a complete cultural mental shift. Start with us here, and I know it's everywhere, but we can only affect our piece of the pie. So let's start at the county. Can do affect what the private business is doing, what Gary's doing, what Pot's doing. You can affect what Riley's doing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
One of many. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That phone block looks good. It blocks off the other stuff too. If somebody is important.
Okay, with that in mind, I'm gonna make a motion that we adjourn the August 3rd meeting of the Riley County Commission.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded to adjourn the August 3rd meeting. All in favor? Aye.
We tried to keep you here till lunch, commissioners.
Oh, you did a good job of it.